your most powerful ability in the game acquired, the run is going to get quite a bit more crazy very soon.
Absolutely massive, Toadette. Grips just took a few deaths getting sent back to that safety state.
I heard you guys like lore, right? Well, we have go fast left, we have go fast up with enemy, we have go fast down, and now we have go fast up without enemy. Charge jump acquired. Hello and welcome everyone to this wonderful Wednesday evening. It is time. The Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills, no out of bounds, no teleport anywhere, no tumble warp tournament is nearing its end. But there is one final question left to be answered. Who will take the win today, the Dew or Rin? Today, those two will duke it out in a best of 5 series, played back to back with a special surprise at the end afterwards. And to provide you with commentary, Sam will be joined by Muffin for this first match. Muffin, how are things going?
Very good, Zem. I mean, I could not picture a more picturesque grand finals than this. The first and the third seed are going to be facing off in a best of 5 series today. The first of 3 wins will be taking the crown for this entire tournament. And it's been quite a storied tournament thus far as we peek at the bracket, right? Seeing Dedew have to fight through the quarterfinals and semifinals in order to take down that second seed, Ronnie, in order to make it for their slot in the grand finals. And Rin has just been such a dominant performance, right? Like only dropping a single game, and that was just in qualifiers where it wasn't that important. Right, but he has just been the dominant force in the tournament. Definitely slightly favored to win here today, right? He's the person who's going to be pushing for world record eventually in the category overall. But Dedew, I mean, Dedew has been slotting such incredible times during this entire tournament, Zem.
Yeah, you've mentioned it before. Rin's only drop game wasn't even in the bracket stage, but rather in the qualifiers. But as you mentioned, did you without any or almost no preparation last week for Ronnie's match? He says he doesn't get rusty when he doesn't play, and he sure showed that by taking the win in that series actually. And he's actually going for a similar strat today, where he hasn't really practiced too much before the match, but is absolutely ready to take some games here today, hoping to get some 28s, which he thinks will be very competitive in this race, especially if you look at the previous races between those two. Rin generally has recently landed about around the 29-minute mark when those two have faced off each other. So did you going for a 28 here to get a comfortable game and victory?
Yeah, I mean, Dedew's goal, right, is to try and take at least one win, right? They know that Rin is definitely has a better PB, but I mean, if they had faced off in the semis, right, like the first game would have gone over to Rin, but Dedew would have won the second game. And of course, Rin just took a 2-0 in that best of 3 in the semis, whereas Dedew had to play all the way through game 3. But the averages for that series are just like seconds off, right? So incredibly close. So here we go, but our runners are now underway. We are on game number 1 of this best of 5 grand finals. Dedew is going to be on the right, Rin's going to be on the left, with all of the action happening on both sides.
Yes, and this Glades will set the tone for basically the entire first game. This is a best of 5 series. You have, in theory, the option to change up strats a bit. So we'll see, are we gonna see any instant drops? Is Rin going to forego the 4th health cell for once? These kind of things. Gonna be a bit interesting to see here. For now, it is just bunny hopping over to the left to get our first ability sign here after a bit of a non-rhino hack, and then running backwards and hoping we're not gonna get any energy drops on the way to the first door.
Yeah, so that is going to be a really crucial element, right? Do both of our runners go for 4 HP? Does somebody skip it, right? How do they do in this Frankie fight? What do they get for the drops, right? So the initial pickup that you end up getting, right, for the first time, Spear Light, Health, and Energy, that is like refill drops that can just randomly drop from enemies that you end up taking down, there's a little pose, like a little animation. And so there's a 30% chance each time you end up killing an enemy or like a spore that'll drop a health pickup, and a 10% chance for an energy crystal. So both of our runners are either hoping for this first flower pad here is going to have 2 of the 3 drops. It looks like neither of our runners ended up getting a stack. So they are really going to be hoping to not end up having those health and energy drops as they're coming through. But Rin taking a 2 damage boost is going to have to be careful as they are going to be progressing through. And they now have to kill that slime above, right? And that's very difficult to avoid it if they get like an energy crystal or a health drop there.
Yeah, eyes on the left. Will we get no, Rin gets through, doesn't get punished. Did you actually getting the health drop on the right? But luckily, he was able to damage boost through. So that 2 damage hit didn't matter too much in the end. Our runners still basically synced. And here we see both runners opting for early 4 HP, taking this Glade Salve for a lot of safety in the mid to late game. And even in BRB, honestly, where there are some 3 damage pits that you can wiggle yourself out of if you take a dip. Let's see, we are getting the down look, so no instant drop here in the first match. Rin now getting his health drop from the plant, an energy drop on the Dew, and I think looking from his mouse he intended to pick up this XP, so he will have to adjust a bit here on the way left.
Yeah, so Dedew had a bit of a different EXP route. He ended up opting for the 4 XP from the Frankie, now skipping that experience amount from that flower pad. He's going to be quite low as well with the slime. So Dedew has a lot of EXP to cover, but they do by just killing that slime. So still pretty much neck and neck for our runners, which is a good sign, right? Coming towards the tree, Rin, who is watching their opponent, will know that they have kept up with Dedew. And meanwhile, Dedew, knowing that they had a little bit of a stumble with experience, might feel slightly behind as they are activating Wall Jump Tree, because Dedew is not going to be watching Rin, nor is going to be watching the restream at any point during this match.
Yes, high 20s on the wall jump activation, looking good on both sides, still basically saying. And now it is time for our first time level up here. That's the reason that you had to pick up some more XP and both get the brambles out of the way, which means we can go up. Oh, Rin actually dropping off the ledge. That will cost a few seconds here, so that you actually gonna take up the lead, exiting Glades here. One thing Rin has mentioned before is that his keyboard decided that a functional spacebar is an optional feature, honestly. So we might see some weird drop jumps here. Let's hope that doesn't happen in a place where it really matters, such as in front of a spike pit in Misty or something like that.
Indeed. And so now coming back over to Blackroot Burrows, nice safety save from both of our runners, right? It doesn't cost them any time to go for that because they're going to get a level up immediately when they enter Blackroot Burrows, which is going to fully refill their health and energy as well as get them ability cell. And then we can utilize these ability cells here in order to be able to skip cutscenes using a glitch known as Save Anywhere. But it looks like Dedew is going to be the first one to enter Blackroot Burrows, with just being slightly ahead of their their opponent by 3 seconds there on the enter Blackroot. So very nicely done for Dedew to have this early lead over their opponent.
Yep, that's indeed the case. We're getting some nice Blackroot movement, and now the slime's out of the way. Another thing that is always important to notice here is XP management in Blackroot. Kinda important. We need that second time level up right after we exit, so we need to be careful to actually pick up the XP our slimes drop or skip it once we are running high. Both of our runners getting up the wall without a hitch are now gonna level up, which means more XP drops, and this one falls to the ground. Let's hope that use XP route doesn't need that slime XP, but now it is time for laser cycles, and if we can get through here without stopping, we're gonna save 8 seconds up top. So let's see how the platform cycles line up. Did you had to wait in front of the laser there? So platform actually going down, and with that Rin now taking the lead here in BRB with the cycles, and that slime kill on the left. Are we? Okay, never mind. I thought for a moment he was going for pause floats there, but deciding to go for the more reasonable tournament strat and not to do that.
Yeah, I think that's really smart, right? Unless your pause floats are like on point and perfect, you will not be making up that 3 seconds that it ends up saving, right? In fact, you could end up losing time to just having a nice leisurely platform ride up that we saw both of our runners end up doing. But look at this slight route divergence. Dedew is now going to be starting to save anywhere a bit earlier than their opponent. This is going to get them a nice bit of time save over what Rin will actually end up doing. But Rin, whoa, almost fell down there having a weird wall jump up that pillar, but was able to get a backup wall jump in order to not fall down. But I cannot stress enough how terrifying that ledge is there, as the replay is going to be showing that in the bottom left.
Yeah, that was way too close, just a little bit too late, or not realizing you're not getting the full jump and slipping up the ledge, and that would have been a disaster with the entire auto-scroller having to be repeated. But so far, looking good. We got out of it. Rin also getting the stack on the left, but the Dew sadly does not quite get in the correct position, which means he does not get to do the blind movement here. Will also have to rewatch the cutscene afterwards. That means he is gonna lose something on the realm of 8 to 10 seconds, I believe. I don't know the exact time on exiting BRB here, which means Rin will be the first one to walk Billy over to open the energy door.
Yeah, this is pretty massive for Rin, right? Like being just a couple of seconds behind their opponent for a lot of the Glade section, and then just being able to clinch out the better platform cycle in Blackroot, and then nailing that cutscene stack in order to come into Frankie Walk gives them a nice padded lead as they are heading into the mid game, right? After Double Jump Tree is going to be one of the most difficult splits, but nice level up there for Ren, no problem. And with 4 HP, Death Gauntlet is going to be much more of a cakewalk than it normally is for the world record 3 HP route that we see our runners going. And oh no, Dedew not quite getting the level up there that they wanted, so they are going to have to back out. Watch this cutscene again, and then go for Frankie Walk. That is a massive time loss, Sam.
Yeah, Frankie Walk failures are the top runners are doing, where you don't get magnet but instead have to just position the Frankie perfectly, can be so punishing if you fail it. And in this case, that you only got 3 of the 4 energy into the door, which means, as you mentioned, that's massive, sending all the way back to the dash tree in Blackroot and gonna have to do this entire walking sequence again.
Yeah, that is so tough, but Rin just is going to be able to see this and know that they have this really big lead. So we're going to see if Rin actually does go for some slower and more safe strats as they are going to be progressing through, right? Like Rin mentioned that one of the conditions that could just cause him to lose the game is like taking a massive 1-minute death somewhere, especially in late game areas. So who knows, maybe Rin is going to be opting to drop a few seconds of late game movement to just drop some more safety saves, seeing that they are this far ahead. But nice damage boost from Rin on the left. They are going to be coming up to the next sequence break, which is going to be known as Grotto Skip. And so here they are going to be jumping up this wall to the right and then jumping over to this plaque, and very smooth and fluid, getting that first try. Confirmed fresh. Rin is going to be nailing Baguette jump as well. Well done.
Yeah, nicely done. And on the other side, that you barely made it into the God cycle, so no time lost on that. Also not getting 1 frame. That means I'd say the time of big time losses is kind of over for a little bit here. Obviously, with how slippery those walls are, you can bleed time everywhere, but you're not gonna just take a death or something like that. That will just take you minutes back here, seeing how little enemies there are. So let's watch Rin's beautiful wall climb here as he barely makes it in front of the slime, dodges under the other exploding slime, and the Dew can now also start his grotto climb and leading up to that grotto skip, and of course Baguette jump, seeing how we have a French matchup here in the finals.
Okay, Rin is going to have a nice little time save as well over their opponent here, where Dedew meant to do blind movement at Double Jump Tree, but didn't quite get the menuing they wanted, so they opted to end up watching that cutscene there. So Rin, still with that ability cell, is actually going to be leveling up that Rekindle heal for another purpose, which is going to allow them to do an incredibly precise trick in order to be able to get into Ginso. Meanwhile, on the right, Dedew getting Baguette Gem, second try, absolutely required in their heart in order to be able to qualify and validate their Frenchness in this run here today.
Yeah, and one very important thing here is we are actually seeing Swamp TP, so that new crazy reroute that saves 4 seconds with the use of 2 grenade jumps and some other precise stuff is not being done in the tournament race. Instead, we're getting the comfy save anywhere all the way from the teleporter to this game storage Ginso entry Rin just did. And with that, he gets control of Ori in the cutscene and can start his climb towards Bash Tree.
Yeah, not quite getting that first try, right, is kind of big, right? With these game storage tricks, you do need to be able to land those first try in order to be able to make use of that time save. So not quite the Ginso entry maybe Rin was hoping for, but still just an absolutely commanding lead, right? Their segment from that double jump tree to the Swamp TP just had a lot of beautiful micro movement, right? It's the top runners, it's very common for them to like acknowledge that segment in particular from double jump tree to Ginso entry is like one of the hardest splits in the entire run to do well. And Rin just put on a beautiful showcase. Meanwhile, on the right, nice jump chain from Dedew to be able to make it up for that ability cell. So maybe we're going to end up seeing a Terror Break route from Dedew instead of going for the crazy juggle that we see Rin most likely posturing for.
Yes, I think that you has mentioned before the matches that he is on Terra Break route in this tournament matches, and honestly, it has served him very well. We've seen Crazy Juggle doesn't get his name from nothing, and if that trick fails, that's a lot of time loss, putting you all the way back in Valley TP, so maybe it will pay off, otherwise it is only 8 seconds lost. Rin getting a good mini-boss fight here, now accidentally getting the health plant, that means he cannot get that easy of a Ghost Store here, is instead gonna take 2 damage boosts, a second also loss that you can make up by being on the correct health, but Bash is now acquired for Rin, which means, well, we talked about how hard the double jump to Bash split is. This is probably the second one of the 2 hardest splits right afterwards, trying to get out of this tree and get over to Stomp.
Yeah, it cannot be stressed enough how many of these tiny little precise bash tricks that our runners need to do. Like, that one was a little high for Rin, but fortunately it did not end up hitting the ceiling. So Rin now coming into key dupe themselves, they are going to be taking a 2 damage boost intentionally there in order to get an odd number of health. That is intentional so that they can end up setting up their health for a fast dupe here. Nice angle on the bash. Rin successfully does key dupe and is going to be jumping up that spike wall to take 2 more damage. And beautiful flower pad dash there. That is an incredibly tight timing press to be able to dash across that flower in order to make use of that faster horizontal movement. And there we go, a nice fast death from Rin. Textbook key dupe from them. They are going to be heading into the mini boss and then going in for their fun at Swamp Entry.
Yeah, meanwhile, Dedew dispatching his mini-boss sadly misses 1 shot on the second volley, so he will have a 4 cycle instead of 3 cycle, but still very nicely done. Now also up to the lower keystone door here. I just wish we could see the UI right now to see the health cells at this point in particular, but looks like Dedew is happy with himself. That should drop him to 1. Maybe we can even see a nice hyperspeed save here. Nope, not a hyperspeed, but a ghost door. Correct health management and bash here. Meanwhile on the left, Rin barely not getting the ramp there, which means no half a second saved. And we're also activating the lasers today, not opting to go for blind movement here. Honestly, perfectly understandable, especially with a broken space key. If a jump drops and you don't know where you are in the blind movement, that would be horrifying. Gets a first shot here. Let's see if he can nail the trick. Yes, very nice. Gets first shot Swamp Entry. That was just beautiful.
Yeah, that was incredible from Rin. There's so many just minute little things that they ended up doing there to be able to get a very fast Swamp Entry. And meanwhile, Dedew on the right is now coming up for their attempt at key dupe. Do a slightly different setup, and it works for them. Very nicely done getting in there, and it's not over yet. No rekindle for Dedew, so they cannot take a death coming through the section until they drop a save at the key door. So there, Dedew, nice movement through Keydupe, and they get the hyperspeed. Beautiful Keydupe section from both of our runners, not trading any punches there. But Rin still in a very commanding lead as they are now going to be heading over towards Charge Flame Tree.
Yes, so 2 tricks coming up in the near future, maybe even 3. Kuro cutscene skip on Rin's side, and then Dedew will have to do his Swamp Entry. Those are the 2 things to look out for. First, however, we need an extra ability cell, so let's take our friend Ringo back. Actually takes damage off of Ringo, so gonna be a bit lower than used to here. Also, there are laser cycles active, but gets nice dashes, the cycles not being a problem, which means Kuro cutscene skip coming up here on the left. If everything goes well, we see nothing, and indeed gets out here. That means it is now time for Tars double bashes on the left as well as Swamp Entry on the right, probably at about the same time.
Okay, yep, so much action on both sides of your screen. Nice spider shot from Ren. They are going to go for it. It's a little bit close to the wall. Dedew, meanwhile, getting a second shot. Ren barely missing that double bash there on the left, is going to have to end up watching this cutscene. But Dedew nails Swamp Entry first try. They did have to do 2 frog shots before they ended up going into the final ceiling break itself. So Rin saving a little bit of time over their opponent in that Swamp Entry, but Dedew just getting through that trick is really the core essential thing, as Rin now making it to Charge Flame Tree is going to be heading up to grab that air dash, as they are going to be utilizing that level up to skip a very long cutscene in this area. And Dedew has now made it to their Stomp Tree. We will see how they do on their Kuro cutscene skip, as well as see if they go for that double bash chain, that we saw Rin go for.
Yeah, that double bash chain is so incredible precise. It doesn't even save that much time compared to the rekindle skip,
Right.
but if you drop 1 double bash, well, you saw what happened, so wouldn't be surprised if we just see rekindle instead. Now Rin got his air dash, finally gets some air mobility, can stomp his back, and with that officially is in the left side of the map up into Valley. Here will just do some more of that bash air dash movement while collecting some ability cells before we set up for Stompless. But on the right side, it is time for Kuro cutscene skip on the Dew's side. Gonna place that safety save. Nice dash bash. Oh, Rin taking a death. Alright, that's exactly the kind of death the Dew needs, as he nails Kuro cutscene skip. There's obviously still quite a bit of a time difference, but that death all the way back to the Grove teleporter, that has really hurt.
Yeah, that is brutal. Like, Rin, while they were attempting to go up, they ended up taking 2 damage from a frog as they were double bashing, having just slightly off on the angle of the second bash right there. Nicely done. Much better angled that time, so they were able to get past that frog without taking damage. This area in Valley in particular can be absolutely brutal because there's so many things that deal 2 damage, deal 3 damage, and if you only have 4 health, you only get 1 safety damage hit. But Rin, nice adjustments there, is able to now get through that section, full on energy, full on health, and they are dropping the save down there, so they are going to be taking a slightly faster route for leveling up that charge dash. But Rin still watching their opponent, right? I am sure that they were aware of how far ahead, but oh man, Zem, that spider shot looked really high.
Yeah, I mean, it is caster curse with these spider shots, but I agree with you. But Rin doesn't, and the game doesn't, so we're all good. Kuro bonking, took three tries to catch a shot, but now we're down. And look at that. With that death, Rin took, did you actually made up about 30 seconds since Bash Tree. So if we now get a botched Sea Juggle attempt or something similar, this is going to be close. But on the other hand, let's rather hope that Rin will nail this sequence, because this is where the big walls of the run start as we jump up to Sorrow Bash here. Let's see, we're getting the extra energy from the crystal, got all of it. Let's see which Sorrow Bash method we have. Alright, the classic lure one is what we're getting. Doesn't that get a double bash there, but is through. Beautifully done, but that just means with that we get an attempt at Sea Juggle.
Okay, here we go. So on the right, Dedew is going to be going for their attempts at Fat Stompless. Ren, meanwhile, on the left, is now going for Sea Juggle. Nice start. They were able to get past the pink slime. Dedew's shot did look very good, so I imagine that will be able to close it out. And Rin on the left, they cannot hit this frog once. They're so close. Just one more. They get up there. Okay. So now they're going to bait the shot and then rocket jump up. And if they nail it, yes, they did not accidentally faceplant into spikes. So Rin, with the successful Sea Juggle, is going to be cementing their lead as they are heading in to the late game, looking to take game number 1 in this best of 5 grand finals.
Yes, at this point, the really scary parts are really a failed cycle in the end of lower Blackroot Barrows or a double faceplant into spikes. So what the Dew needs to do right now is just keep up and hope that one of those happens. Meanwhile, Rin has gotten through the, I would say honestly, most stressful part in the race, when you need to nail all these 1 to 3 framers on the Sea Juggle in a row or fall behind. But he does it without problems, which means he can now go do his Ghost Door and get his charge jump, where he will actually meet the Dew very soon, seeing how he is on Terra Break route and will go there before going to Sunstone.
Okay, beautiful entry into Sorrow from Deddew. That was very, very nicely done. They are going to be taking, but oh no, they take a death and get sent all the way back to Valley. This is just exactly the padding that Rin needed to be able to continue to keep up their momentum heading into the late game. So Deddew, with that death, they are really going to be feeling that one for this match. So we are going to see how they do coming back in as our runners high five as Deddew does Sorrow Bash once again, just textbook execution from them. So nicely done, able to get up there. But now they're going to have to try and get past Sunship Sanctuary without tasting those tantalizing spikes if they are going to want to continue to progress. But no! Oh man, that's so brutal, Zem. Another massive death for Deddew.
Yeah, that is the one part of the entire run where the early 4 HP sadly doesn't help. Those spikes deal for themselves, which means the Dew is going to have to do a 3rd round. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he opts for a safety save here and skip on the Ghost Door on the 3rd attempt, seeing how, especially when nerfs start to board up and you have this incredibly tight gliding section where every mistake means death, that can really come into play. But no, proves me wrong, just doesn't have a problem as long as he doesn't plan into these spikes. And there we go, is through the Dorito Caverns and now gets his own charge jump.
You know, I really like this from Deddew, right? Just not switching up their play, just continuing to go with the route, right? Like, it's pretty clear, I imagine, in Dedew's mind that Rin is going to be getting through the like early and late game sections with very, very smooth and steady play, right? We saw Rin place down some extra safety that wasn't necessary. But Deddew just still taking this opportunity maybe to just like practice, right? This is a best of 5 series. So even if Deddew goes down in game number 1, right? Like they still have many more games in the match itself for them to be able to come back. So just continue to go on and take this as a practice maybe before heading into game number 2 with a clear head and a clear heart. But Rin on 1 health, this can be a little bit spooky. We're going to see if they drop a safety save here. They do opt to heal up that 2 health for the cost of 1 energy. So nice rocket jump there. And now Rin's going to be setting up for another rocket jump and gets through Meatball Corridor with a beautiful C-dash stomp cancel there. And they are heading now into the mini boss itself.
Yes, and speaking of mini-boss, that thing barely jumped out of the ground before getting immediately annihilated, so gets his level up, gets his resource refill, and gets the quick kill on the mini-boss. Now it is time to bring home the bacon as we go out of Misty and head to our last skill location, just needing to teleport back to Blackroot here. And hey, look at that! We get some Willem action here, and no Meteor Kick instead from the Dew, as he is having some fun in this first match.
I love to see it. Oh yeah, there's the instant replay in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. We didn't quite get the audio because Rin is currently in the lead with a very, very nice smooth performance coming out of Misty as they are heading towards the light grenade tree itself, starting a save anywhere from all the way back at the waypoint is very, very nice play from them. And then taking the faster intentional death in order to be able to progress through. Just very nicely done. Glitching out that lever so that we can get a faster access for a teleport out location after we grab this final skill tree. But nice laser cycle from Rin, opts to take a very spooky but faster charge jump, and they are through, saving the game after one of the longest cutscenes in the game is going to allow them to skip it. And now that they hit Light Grenade Trees them, they are going to have one of the most powerful, swaggiest, awesome pieces of tech that this game has to offer.
It is time indeed. Let's see if he goes for it. Yes, there we are. Sadly, it doesn't get it, but does get 3 charges, so that already makes me happy. Having a bit of trouble, but there we go. All right. First try here on the grenade jump to exit Blackroot Burrow. Indeed, Triforce acquired. That means the laser cycles are going to be a bit off, but honestly, what a small price to pay for grenade jumps. Gets a nice second laser cycle here. Almost dashes into that ball, but catches himself before, and with that, Blackroot has officially been completed. All that's left is to go to Horu, hopefully using another grenade jump, and then finish out the final escape.
Yeah, this is just an incredible play from Rin so far, right? Having only just minor executional bits here and there, like maybe just seconds lost from missing a few tricks that they were trying to go for and had to like watch an additional cutscene here, or maybe just drop some movement because of their very nice hardware difficulties with the spacebar, right? But here we go on the left. Rin heading up, not doing the grenade jump. I like this play from them, right? They know they don't necessarily need to do that in order to close out the win, right? And this just spells that Rin is definitely watching their opponent, right? Why risk a frame perfect trick to be able to get over the lava field when you can just end up opting to not do warmth skip and instead just take like a 15-second time loss or so in order to be able to just close out and have a consistent final escape.
Yeah, I was about to mention that we saw Rin actually take 6 health here for the final escape, so that's going to be the most comfortable swim in his recent speedrunning history, seeing how he normally only gets 5. And then spamming away all the energy in Horror Fields to then get the refill on the warmth cutscene that we rarely ever get to see in this tournament, but now is going to play out here for us and get him those resources back. That's honestly... I think that's just the correct play in a tournament race. You're here to close this out. And hey, we already saw a death in the final escape, but still, he has an entire split of a lead here. So as long as he can get through this, that will be game 1 for him.
All right, here we go. Rin is going to be bashing up the lanterns, doing some nice charge dash stomp cancels, using a charge jump off the wall to break the wall. Very done now. They all that is left for them to close out the win here is getting past this poison swim. They're in the water, and then the final grenade jump, hopefully skipping spawning Kuro. Nice dash out there. Slightly blind movement to be able to skip the Kuro kill plane effect from coming in. But no grenade jump from Rin. What a nominative play, just saying, hey, I'm watching my opponent. I know I have way more than a minute over them. Why would I risk like taking a soft lock to have to do the final escape again? Nope. Instead, they are just going to be taking a 30 to 40 second time loss, but instead not taking a loss here overall. In this first game, Rin is going to be taking game number 1 in this best of 5 series for the grand finals of the All Skills tournament. GG, well played.
GG indeed, and honestly, just very smart play here in the end, watching his opponent and knowing he can afford to just take all the save strats at the end. And I'm just gonna say, even with all the save strats, just look at that final timer that we're going to get. Still an absolutely crazy time. But the dude on the right, going for the grenade jump, we have missed over Horror Fields, gets the Patera jump, and with that, he can now set up for his door warp. Let's see how many attempts that takes. As a reminder, that means it is kinda a load dependent, at least almost frame perfect trick, pressing up on the first moment you can after loading in, and the game will get confused, and this time it doesn't. So no first try door warp here, but second try gets it. So Rin getting a sub 30 with all the save strats in the world as the Dew is starting his final escape.
Yeah, I think that's incredible, right? Like Rin, taking a death in the final escape. opting to not do the final grenade jump and they close out at 29:48. That is just absolutely an incredible time for a run, especially of a runner whose caliber is really up there. Rin's just absolutely incredible. But now, Didu is entering the final escape. Take it away, Zem.
Alright, here we go, no one skip, but now through the falling rocks already into the bash room. Don't think we're gonna see a G-jump here on 5 HP indeed, just bashing up and up into the elemental room. Goes for the fast C-dash break here, which means we just need to manipulate those fish cycles by stalling for a little bit. Gets down, let's count the damage here. Gets out without dying. Kuro has not been spawned, so all that's left between him and the finish is going to be the final grenade jump. He goes for it, gets it first try, and I see Ori walking. GG, did you?
Yeah, and the differential here really does not do it justice to like how close this race really was, right? Didu missing the magnetless Frankie walk, that's like over a minute lost there. And then taking like 2 deaths at the top of Sorrow after like nailing Sorrow Bash, after getting the ceiling break and then getting up to Sunchip's Sanctuary. Those are both incredibly costly deaths. So even though there is just about a 2-minute differential between our runners, right? If we just took away those major mistakes, Zem, this race would have been unbelievably close and down to the wire.
Yeah, and honestly, even like that, did you won in my heart by doing those narrow hops? But yeah, as you mentioned, these kind of things can just snowball, and when you get this kind of Frankie Walk mishap, at that point, it is really just keep pushing. Maybe your opponent will do a major mistake, or maybe he won't. In this case, the one death Rin took there around the Birdstorm cell just wasn't enough for did you to make up that lost time to Frankie Walk, and Rin has just been closing it out very, very well. Absolutely utilizing the fact he could see his opponent's progress and could go for the big save strats at the end of the run.
Yeah, and so just a quick reminder, folks, this is going to be the grand finals of the tournament. We are not done yet. We have a long day of casts ahead of us for sure. So it is going to be a best of 5 series. All of the games in the match itself will be played sequentially, so they will all happen today in a row. And I mean, just looking at both of these runners, just incredibly impressive performances. Both nailing Key Dupe first try, both nailing Swamp Entry first try, and Rin, like even nailing the one shot there. It's just absolutely incredible. And then Sorrow Bash, both of the runners making that incredibly difficult sequence break look like it was nothing, right? So this has absolutely just been a phenomenal match for both of our runners so far. But Rin, with the win in game 1, right? All they have to do in order to close out the series, Zem, is take 2 more wins.
Yeah, but you say that easily, but we know both. It is not. It's easier said than done to win 2 more games against Dedew here. Has already beaten one of the higher seeds, so let's see if we can maybe just run it back. If he just doesn't get that trolled by Billy there on the wall, and then doesn't take the death into the Rito Caverns, then I think we're gonna have some incredibly close races here for the next part of the series.
Yeah, and like this is one of my favorite parts about Ori as well. Like, I mean, these 2 runners are incredibly close, like skill cap wise, and like the times that they were benchmarking in the semifinals, especially, like painted that picture perfectly. Either getting a low 29 or a mid 28 in like the semifinals itself. They were just benchmarking so incredibly close to each other. So I imagine, right, like Didu here is just going to be kind of like shaking off those nerves, shaking off the last game like it never happened, and going in with an open head. But I mean, looking at the play from Rinzem, do you think that Rin is going to be opting to swap anything out? Do you think they'll be adding anything back in for the next game?
Honestly, I think Rin can just continue with exactly the strats he has been. 4 HP is just I kind of want to say the correct play here in the tournament. We saw Rin take 2 hits to Spike, 1 in each half of Misty there. So without those 4 HP, that would have been minutes upon minutes of deaths there in the Misty area. So I think we're gonna see that again. And on the other hand, his crazy juggle has been consistent enough to just keep doing that. Especially if you change it up now, that means you're playing against your muscle memory in the tournament, right? So I think we're just gonna see Rin doing just what he has done in this match, and then keep an eye for when he needs to pull out some more risky strats, seeing how he watches his opponent in the race.
Yeah, I mean, I love that about Ren, right? So we got to talk to our runners before the race started, right? Dedew mention that they were not going to be watching their opponent or the restream during it, even going to like hide things like race time and stuff like that. Whereas Ren is like the complete opposite. Rin doesn't care what time he ends up closing out as long as it's faster than his opponent. So just watching Dedew while it's going on, seeing that they were like minutes ahead of their opponent, especially coming into those very, very end game sections, right? So opting to not do some like difficult things, right? Going for warmth skip, right? If you die in the final escape, like we saw Rin do right at the start of it, you have to do some really wacky stuff in order to be able to make warmth skip work, right? And that's just like a 10-second time save that he can just delete from his route and just watch a cutscene to have a better save point in the final escape. And then even opting not to do the final grenade jump, right? No grenade jump in Horu Fields, no grenade jump at the end of the final escape, because they knew that they just didn't need to. So even though Rin got like a high 29, that doesn't really necessarily spell accurately what sort of time he could have benchmarked in that race. So I'm excited to see what happens next, Em.
Yeah, me too. And speaking of what happens next, Muffin, you actually get to cast one more here. I will be dropping out of commentary for Game 2, being replaced by Trojan, and then hopefully be back for Game 4 after we get a close series, right? That's what I'm hoping for. But you, Muffin, get to do another round here. So good luck on the second match. Hope it's gonna be another good one.
Hey, thank you so much. That being said, folks, we are going to be taking a short break really quickly. Major thanks to Fupio, who's tracking the stats and letting us know time differentials during that run itself. And thanks for Richard, who's going to be on Restream for the entire broadcast. We really appreciate you. But that being said, we are going to take a nice wellness break. It's going to be just under 10 minutes. And then I will be back with Trojan Dude himself in order to cast Game 2. See you then. All right, welcome back, friends and folks, to the Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills Tournament in this fine year 2022. My screen name is Covert Muffin, and we are going to be casting game number 2 of Rin versus Dedew, with Rin taking game number 1 in this best of 5 series today. And I could not cast this alone. Joined with me is my good friend Trojan Dude. Trojan, how are you doing here today, man?
Yo, what's up, Covert? I am doing fantabulistic. I am very, very excited to be able to have the opportunity to cast a couple of these wonderful finals matches between some incredible runners, and I just thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course. I'm really excited to be casting this one as well. We are going to see an excellent matchup. If you missed game number 1, Rin ended up taking the win as Dedew was just having a bit of trouble with some major sequence breaks, right? Like taking the missed level up in the Frankie Walk, having to do that entire section again, and then taking a few big deaths in Sorrow itself. But here we see some additional stats. We see Rin with a slightly better PB. They are probably slightly favored to win, but I mean, their averages in the semifinals when they did those best of 3s versus their opponents to be able to make it into the grand finals were just so incredibly close, benchmarking very similar times. So definitely it could be anyone's match here today. But Dedew taking a loss here is going to have to fight back against that deficit to try and even the playing field in this game, and then continue to move on and clinch those first 3 wins to close out the win.
Yeah, no, that was honestly a really incredible performance by Rin. But I do want to mention that I've known Dedew for a very long time, and one thing I know about him is that he is able to really kind of flush bad runs down. Like, I'll just say, okay, that was a lot of mistakes all in one. Come back into this, and that's kind of the mentality you have to have in any sort of best of series. You can't dwell on all the mistakes that you had in the first match. And I like that he went for all of the same tricks that he would normally do, knowing that, okay, I made enough mistakes. I'm just going to do this as like kind of a practice run and try and improve on that going into the second match and try and put some pressure on Rin.
Yeah, I love that from Dedew. And of course, like, this is just such a nominative thing from Dedew as well. He's just not watching his opponent, not watching the race time, not watching the recast. He's just playing his own game to his own strengths, while Rin is doing kind of the opposite, right? They're basing a lot of what they're going to be doing in the mid and late game based on how far ahead or behind they are compared to their opponent. But here we go. We are now underway. It looks like our runners are about to start any second now, where Dedew is going to be featured on the right with Rin over on the left. And there the timers go with the action right in front of you. GLHF Rin and GLHF Dedew.
Indeed. And I am really, really excited to see how the early game specifically goes, because as you both mentioned a little bit, the early game is where you don't have dash for a lot of it, like the first about 6-7 minutes. And big mistakes right there are very, very costly. And it's really difficult to throw in a lot of safety saves, depending on the person, and everybody has a different mentality on where they can and cannot play safety saves, which you saw a little bit in the first match as well. And that's what I'm going to kind of look out for, especially from Rin's perspective, because they got a sub 30 even with all of these safety strats and one really bad death. So that's got to be a little bit comforting for Rin, to know that they can still get a pretty solid time even with that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Trojan. And so here we go, coming to the Frankie fight. Nice pacing from both of our runners, as Dedew is going to be slightly ahead of their opponent. And like the early game especially, we expect the runners to be incredibly close. But as Trojan mentioned, right, fight for an inch, fight for a mile. If one of our runners is able to take a slight lead here, that is some nice padding, especially going into the mid-game section, which is some of the most technical and difficult at the highest end level. But there we go. Looks like Dedew did get a stack, whereas Rin did not. So Dedew's not going to worry about seeing those health drops from these spores and enemies as they progress through, whereas Rin might have to be a little bit careful as we see the replays down below.
Yeah, and it seems like such a small detail, but let me tell you, those stacks can really throw you off on your rhythm if they come at a very inopportune time. And for these top runners, that can be a very sizable difference in this early game on the levels of like 5 to 10 seconds if everything gets kind of thrown off. So yeah, Dedew's going to be very, very happy to see that super early right there.
All right, so Rin is going to be taking a slight lead here as both of our runners are going to opt for a safety early 4th health cell. Just simply because Dedew didn't pull their block out quite enough, so they had to just go back down and grab that. But nice movement there from Rin with the shot pacings, and Dedew getting some better RNG than what they had in the previous match, is going to opt to grab the flower pads on the ceiling EXP, which they ended up skipping in game number 1. So interesting little bit of a divergence as Rin is going to be the first to make it over. Nice health there. EXP is looking just a little bit off, so they are going to correct that, grabbing the additional 2. But Rin on the left going for flower pad skip. Nice. They are able to nail that. They actually ended up missing that in their first game of the series. And Dedew on the right, matching him pace for pace, grabbing 2 more additional experience because they knew that their EXP was a little low from where they wanted it to be.
Yeah, and that's one of that little section right there is one of the areas I was really going to look at for Dedew to see if like any of those nerves have kind of shaken off from the first game and just like really did that flower skip and that movement very smoothly, like just as smoothly as Rin. So that is fantastic to see, and that should look to prove to be a very nice thing for the rest of this early game. And just wanted to harp on the XP things. That's one of the biggest things to kind of learn as you do more and more runs. Is like, okay, I missed 1 or 2 little XP orbs here and there, and you have to kind of adjust and do stuff a lot on the fly, which is really, you know, kind of a special art for OriSpeedrunning.
Yeah, indeed. And so nice bend there from Rin, taking the damage boost from the slime, going for a much safer and more and easier route than like an optimal sort of damage boost setup in that section. Just getting out of early game, right? It doesn't matter if you like push for a world record in a tournament, right? Dropping that safety save there for Rin, very big fan of that. And I'm sure we'll see Dedew do it as well. They do indeed. But like, as I was mentioning, right? Like, pushing for safer strats than you might do in a world record attempt is a really, really good strategy in play. And wow, that turnaround jump from Rin, that is so nominative of them, just getting further into that cutscene and saving a little bit of time. I just absolutely love these micro optimizations, as we will see in the replay in the bottom left-hand corner, right? So coming in here, turning to the left and then turning to the right to jump, that just causes you to go into that little sort of slow down cutscene a little bit faster.
Yeah, we have as many micro optimizations in the Ori run as we have micro ledges in the game. So, you know, that it's a little tit for tat right there. And as we see them now going down into the ore berm right here, looks like they had very similar mentality. Neither of them throw down a safety save right there, which is pretty common, as, again, you don't have a lot of energy right here in this section, so you kind of have to rely on good movement in general. Ooh, had an interesting little kind of bunny hop off the edge right there. Speaking of little micro ledges.
Yeah, indeed. And I just really want to point out, Dedew just with a little bit of executional struggles and certain incredibly precise locations for skips. Meanwhile, Rin coming through these lasers, beautiful cycle, even dropping a safety save just in case they didn't quite get the lasers that they wanted, but just able to push the envelope and get up through that section incredibly fast. And Rin just pushing these small little time saves here and there over their opponent is going to be coming through Blackroot at a slightly faster pace, but we sure do have quite a lot of run ahead of us, and anything can happen in a game as difficult and complex as Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah, definitely. And wanted to bring up a nice recognition from Dedew right there after, you know, taking some damage in the spikes right there and kind of throwing off the laser cycles, really taking the time to just land on each level right there and not try to force it too much and lose a lot of time because they had not thrown down a safety save in a while. And again, we're going to see a little bit of discrepancy here. We got Dedew with the Save Anywhere menu up while Rin is opting to just do the movement normally. And again, this is all kind of a different comfort level and what they're trying to accomplish with the Darkness cutscene coming up.
Okay, and this is going to be pretty big. Last game, Rin was able to get the cutscene stack where Dedew was not, so eyes on the left to see how Rin positions here. Oh, that looked pretty far to the left. We're going to see if they get control. They do. Okay, so they still were able successfully to get that cutscene stack, but eyes on the right, Dedew is going to be going for this. They missed it last game. Oh, that's really far to the left, Trojan, and they don't quite get it. So Rin is going to be taking a bit more of a lead here as they are going to be the first to enter into Frankie Walk, while Dedew has to watch this tree cutscene instead of being able to do the blind movement we saw from Rin.
Yeah, I think kind of one of the things that I noticed right there, Rin kind of really confidently walked into the spot for that, and you can tell they knew what they wanted to achieve right there. Dedew actually kind of went past it and like circled back a tiny bit, and I think that's what maybe threw off Dedew right there on that cutscene skip. Again, those little micro optimizations that can really play a big part in this early game. And as we see Rin right here, doing the Magnusless Frankie Walk, and really nice. And so let's see him get up the wall right here. Very nice. And then we're going to see Dedew here doing the same thing here very shortly while doing some nice little backflips.
Okay, yeah, and this is very critical for Dedew. If they are able to get this, they will still be very close to their opponent, but the EXP gets far away, but nice adjustment from there. Doing a second pull on that experience. That was absolutely a massive improvisation from Dedew. Getting through Frankie Walk first try. Very nicely done. Maybe tugging at our heartstrings just a little bit, Trojan.
We need to give that 110 XP orb, like that thing was heavenly, because that thing was floating in the air for ages and just allowed Dedew to actually, that was one of the most incredible RNG moments I think I've ever seen on a Frankie Walk right there.
Yeah, that was so clutch. Rin taking a little bit of a death, but no problem. Both of our runners nailing that God Crusher cycle and getting through. Rin, meanwhile, takes another death, setting them back at the door, but still in quite a commanding lead here, heading in towards this double jump movement segment. So there, Rin activating the tree, and then they are going to be heading into one of the harder splits for like a top end runner to do optimally well. So we'll see how they are going to be able to manage their double jump movement off to a very speedy start, heading up these walls with a nice cadence. Slightly dropping a double jump there, no problem. Going to be dropping down that safety save just in case, and boom, takes a nice damage boost from that Frankie as they are going to be coming up towards their attempts at Grotto Skip.
Yeah, and again, very nice move, blind movement by Dedew right there, doing something similar. And surprisingly, one of the other things that I've always been curious about is a lot of runners throw a safety save right there after that spike section, which is like, it's kind of one of those things that just kind of developed over time with OriSpeedrunning, because you get that energy cell right there. So it's pretty much like, there's no reason for you to not like go for it. As we see Dedew accidentally slide down the wall right there, gets it on second try though. And does pick up the orb right there. So that will slightly adjust their XP going into the mid-game section right here.
All right, and both of our runners nailing Baguette jump first try as well. Almost more important than Grotto Skip itself in order to declare themselves as French. But man, just Rin is absolutely on fire, just continuing to grow that time gap between him and his opponent with just brilliant execution as they are coming up through this section. And up here especially, we are going to see them, just barely land there on that platform, having no extra hang time in the air, and then just continuing this jump chain up the left wall with a very precise jump there. And Dedew doing an excellent job as well. Beautiful dash glide there as they are going into that cutscene, and on quite a good pace for them, but just slight executional errors here and there is just going to allow Rin to further capitalize on their early game lead.
Yeah, actually, going back to the water vein, it looks like that Rin had about a 24-second lead right there, which is definitely still easily attainable for Dedew right there with any sort of like minor death. That you can cut that in half. And again, one of the things I love about this early mid-game is that the difference in ideologies, again, Dedew is grabbing this ability cell in order to do Terror Break later and not have to do Crazy Juggle, which is what Rin does. And that's one of the beauties of the top runners. A lot of things can still be viable even if the route is slightly different. Ooh.
Oh yeah, Rin taking a fall there, back down, and almost more importantly, taking a damage there. So they are going to be at 2 health coming through the section. So they're, yeah, nice. They are going to be slowing down slightly, pausing in order to be able to get that safety health there. And now coming into this section, they are able to get the fast gamer cycle very nicely done. But no, oh my goodness, Trojan, he falls back down. And so this is just giving Dedew little bits here and there to allow him to get back into this run, get back into this race. And beautiful execution from Dedew in this first room. And if they have a clean second room, this is absolutely going to close a good amount of this time gap.
Totally. And also, the thing that made me, have pause for a second was Rin had to go to that spike that's on that second from the top. And I was not sure if the iframes were going to be done by that point, which means that they would have died right there. So what an incredible improvisation by Rin right there to get that, as we see them in the puzzle room right here, getting through that very cleanly. And we are only 1 room apart right now. This race has really tightened up.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Just about a 20-second differential between our 2 runners. Oh, Rin just barely missing a shot there is not going to get the optimal cycle for them as they head through. But nice health management from Rin there so that they can be on an odd number health, which is important for a fast ghost door as they head over to Bash Tree. But beautiful movement. Let's see how Dedew does with the mini boss. Are they going to be setting up for a fast fight? It looks like they got the same cycle number as their opponent. So no real time variance there for either of our runners, as now Rin is going to be in the lead currently. But as you mentioned, right, just like a 1 room differential from our opponents, this race certainly is close.
Indeed. And now with Bash in play, this is where the mid game gets really, really fun, and where we can see a lot of those kind of minor amount of seconds changes over time. Also, very nice shot, like these strats right here that you can see with these breakable wooden ones. One of the most fun areas, in my opinion, in the whole run. And Rin and Dedew make it look really, really seamless right now so far.
Yeah, and so Rin on the left coming for Kidu, taking a little bit of extra time to set up their angle. Very nice decision because they were able to nail Kidu first try. And beautiful flower pad dash once again from Rin. That is incredibly precise to be able to do that. And now they are going to be setting up for hyperspeed, and they are able to get it. So very nice key dupe section for Rin as Dedew on the right, doing a different setup. Wow, they were pretty far to the left, but they were able to still close out the trick. And so they were successful in their attempt at key dupe, as Dedew is hot on the heels, but just barely falls down there, not quite high enough to be able to grab the keystone. That is quite a precise bash angle to be able to get the height for that keystone, but very nicely done. Only a minor executional mistake from Dedew is separating him from his opponent, as Rin now is going to be making their way over to Swamp Entry.
Yeah, and that hyperspeed right there is actually a little bit difficult because as you saw between Rin and Dedew's screen, there's that little flower pad right there that actually stopped Dedew, even though Dedew got hyperspeed on there. So it's a really small timing window in order to get the height needed to get onto there. And looks like Rin is opting to take the safety save after the laser cutscene, same as in the first one. And we are going to get some nice, beautiful swamp entry movement right here. And nice getting the ability cell before. Oh, but does not get the double bash. And okay. Oh, and again, does not get the double bash. So this is giving Dedew some time to make... ooh, this is a little bit of nerves maybe. Oh, yeah. Okay, that... woo! Okay, I was not sure if that was going to be high enough because... sometimes if it doesn't reach its peak right there and you try to adjust for it, it doesn't entirely get the height needed on the other side. Very nice job from Dedew right there.
Yeah, very nicely done. They took 2 damage from the frog, but nice adjustment there to be able to get through Swamp Entry. So definitely a faster Swamp Entry for Dedew. We'll see what the differential is as we head over to that Stomp Tree. Rin still in the lead, though. There still is some nice padding as they are coming into the mid-game section, but I can't stress enough just how easy it is to be able to take a 20, a 30, a 60-second death in the late-game sections itself. So this is definitely not the lead that Rin had in the previous races, they are still having a little bit of struggles in this area. So we do have indeed just like a 12-second differential between our two runners, or roughly a 15-second differential at that stomp tree. So very nicely done from Dedew to just have a very clean executional section as they are now starting to head back on over to the left.
Yep, definitely. And again, picking up that ability cell on the way out because they had to improvise and avoid the ability cell during the swamp entry. So nice recognition right there. Ooh, nice play with Ringo right there. Not doing kind of the double bash to get the height, instead doing a little bit of an angle on it, and then using the double jump and dashing to get over to Ringo right there. See a setup for Kuro cutscene skip, and beautifully done. So, I mean, Dedew is keeping the pressure on her now. Oh, and there is a... Oh, that was a great safety save right there by Rin. Because otherwise, that would have been a very costly one to go ahead of... or to go back to where Kuro cutscene skip was.
Yeah, I mean, just very, very big play for Rin to go for that trick again and not quite getting it to work. But nice manipulation there on the Frankie to be able to bring it down. And they are going to be starting their save anywhere. But I mean, this just bought Dedew more seconds, right? Dedew going for their tried and true method that they are incredibly comfortable with. And so the differential definitely is a lot less than 15 seconds now, as Rin is indeed going to be heading over and skipping this cutscene first. And indeed, it's less than 10 seconds. They're only apart by 7 seconds. Dedew has just been clawing back these seconds in this mid-game section, and now being neck and neck coming into Valley of the Wind Trojan. This race is so incredibly close.
Yeah, and another minor thing that just happened right there, Rin actually didn't get all the way past the teleporter, so it had to deal with about a third of the slow zone right there, which actually gave Dedew about another 2 seconds back or so. So that was another small minor thing, but that is giving Dedew an opening to possibly eke out a lead right here as we get into the Valley of the Wind and towards the feather cutscene and skill. And let's see Rin going up through to stomp and get the cell right here. It was a little bit high right there, but very nice adjustment right there. And again, going for fast stompless. And yeah, this is becoming incredibly close right now.
Okay, eyes on the left. We're going to see how the shot looks. I'm not even going to call that one. That was pretty high up, but Rin very confident with their bash angle there. And so they are going to be starting to save anywhere. Coming to the ability cell, they are able to get fast stompless. And meanwhile, on the right, Dedew, was their attempt also first try? It was! Runners trading punches. First try this trick, first try that trick. Just absolutely incredible on both executional elements as we see those replays at the bottom. But it's not over yet. We are going to be coming up to Sorrow, and Rin is going for a slightly faster route in Sorrow, so they are going to be able to potentially make use of that and grab some seconds. But up first is a big sequence break as we're using a rocket jump to get a lot of height to head up to it. We are not having the wind restored. In fact, we are going to be coming into Sorrow without having it restored at all. So Rin on the left is now going to be going for the Sorrow bashes. Nice bashes on the bird. They are able to get in as Dedew on the right is right behind him, and he is able to get in their first try as well.
Yeah, but Rin just killed the bird, so they have to actually ascend to get over. They don't get the rocket jump off of there, and they're down by 1 energy right now. So, well, I guess since they didn't have to rocket jump, they'll be fine on energy. But boy, that is a huge mistake from Rin right there, and very, very costly. Let's see if Dedew can get through there. Normally, it looks like, yes, Dedew got there perfectly fine. So, oh boy, this just got really interesting right now.
Yep, eyes on the left. He cannot hit this frog a single time, but beautiful, crazy juggle from Rin, able to get up there very fast. And now the rocket jump. Nice positioning. Woo! Just almost was tickled by some tasty spikes there as they were heading up through that vertical slit, but they were able to correct their positioning and able to get up. And now Dedew is going to be doing a different method in order to break the ceiling, and they are able to get up there. And beautiful laser cycle for Dedew. We're going to see if they are able to capitalize on the way down with that. And now Rin the first to make it to Sunstone, but remember Dedew actually went over to charge jump tree first, and Dedew having a little bit of better execution within this area over their opponent probably means that they are either going to be neck and neck or Dedew is going to have a slight lead. We will see as our runners end up exiting this area.
Yep, definitely. And very nice, clean movement from Rin right there for the Ghost Store. That was pristine right there. And we're going to see them kind of cross paths again right here, which is where we're going to be able to really get a sense of who's in the lead right here. And based on what a preliminary looks like, it looks like Dedew has to wait a little bit, unfortunately, on there, not going through the log, but going to have a little bit of a lead right here as we're going to start. But, I mean, that's kind of the thing right now, you know. Oh no, but that's a death ride to do right there, going a little bit too early, right before that little dog leg in the Sorrow Bash area. So now Rin gets the lead right back.
All right, so Rin is going to be the first one to enter Misty. They are going to be showcasing off a lot of really fast-paced movement, beautiful charge dashes with those stomp cancels to be able to refund the energy, and the position is good on the rocket jump. Beautiful stair cancel there to be able to reserve that energy and make it over to the slime, and very nicely done. And so now Rin is going to be continuing on. Nice movement through that bend. Gets a beautiful weave in that section. And now with the 2 energy, they are going to be able to place a safety save here, but it also does save just around a second to be able to skip that cutscene. So now Rin is not going to be set back if they end up taking a death in Misty, but Dedew with the death in Sorrow is going to be giving Rin a commanding lead. And we are quickly running out of Ori content for Dedew to be able to close that ground. He really is going to need a mistake from Rin.
Yeah, definitely. And the second half of Misty can still be very, very critical for this race, as I feel like it tends to be a lot of the time with all of this crazy fast movement right here. And Rin is making mincemeat of it so far with some beautiful chaining of some charge dashing and stomping right there. I think got a stair cancel in there. Goes back, opts to take a safety save right there, because again, they are watching Dedew and probably saw them take those 2 deaths. So deciding, hey, it's worth the 1 or 2 seconds to go back and place that safety save.
Yeah, indeed. Very nice play from them. I mean, I love this from Rin, right? Watching their opponent and being able to adjust on the fly. But beautiful rocket jump here. And now for Meatball Corridor on the left, they are able to get through. And, oh, they dropped that stomp cancel there, so they are not going to be doing a rocket jump off this Frankie. But no problem. Just 1 additional bash that they have to do in order to be able to close the height. And the mini-boss for Rin looks clean as Dedew on the right, going for some difficult movement and nails it. Beautiful play from both of our runners in one of the most technical and difficult sections of this speedrun.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. Getting through the meatball corridor and then turning the mini-boss into a spicy meatball right there. That was absolutely gorgeous. And let's see if Dedew can do the same exact thing, as does the little stomp setup, goes through. And again, a little tiny thing I want to note. You see Rin going to the outer side, and then Dedew actually weaves into the inner side. Little small thing, but again, just comfort on there. And again, does make mincemeat of the mini-boss right there.
All right, so Rin is going to be the first one to be able to teleport out. At Climb Tree, there is just over a 30-second time differential for our runners because of those deaths from Dedew. But Rin just making such a fast pace coming out of Misty at a very blazing speed, and now coming into Light Grenade. Looks like the laser cycles are good for him, and now he's going to be charge jumping up, charge dashing to that bird in order to get over. And man, just Rin is really turned up, right? Like, just his execution has been so on fire after seeing how close the race was coming out of Sorrow. And so he is absolutely not pulling his punches here, and shows why he deserves to be the #1 seed in this tournament, as well as the potential winner of game number 2, right? If he's able to close this out and take a second win here, he only needs 1 more win versus Dedew in order to walk away as the grand champion of the All Skills tournament.
Yeah, and unlike the first match, Rin hits that grenade jump perfectly on the first try, which it makes it, I mean, that is a hard input to do, like 3 inputs like really close together with each other. And honestly, like it's a lot of fun, but boy is it nerve-wracking, especially the one we'll see eventually in the final escape. And we'll see if Rin actually opts to do any more grenade jumps this time around, especially the one going from Horu Fields, which he's entering right now, and going to the front of Mount Horu. Having a little bit of trouble right there, stomping. I think a little bit trolled by the slime right there on the ground, but goes through it perfectly cleanly.
Yeah, here we go. Ren once again not opting to do the grenade jump in Horu Fields. Instead, they're going to go for a slightly later one that they are more comfortable and well practiced in, and gets it first try. So coming into Horu, but it's not over yet, right? Like, I mean, this race is still very, very close and winnable for Dedew if he is able to not make a single executional error, right? Because if Rin has trouble in the final escape, if they have trouble on door warp, right, they can just get absolutely bodied. But Dedew taking a little bit of damage, and this is going to be critical for them, right? But no, instead they are able to get a health drop to be able to close that out. But Ren is indeed going to be going for this trick here to get a faster start to the final escape, but not quite getting the menuing they want, and that is going to allow Dedew to make up some time over their opponent, because Didew's Horu Fields movement was immaculate. So this is it, right? Eyes on Ren. They are going to need to have textbook movement here and have a clean final escape.
I mean, I just want to mention, can we put Dedew's like grenade jump right there into an art museum, because that was an absolute masterpiece right there, going through there and timing all of the jumps perfectly to maintain momentum. So definitely putting it on there. Unfortunately, not getting the door warp here on the first try. Gets its second try yet again, as it did in the first match, as Rin is going through the elemental room right now and getting to the fish swim right now.
Okay, and so here it is. This is very important. Rin does need to go for the final grenade jump in order to close out. Otherwise, it's going to be a differential of like a second or two. So they are setting up in the position. They had a left bash, and they're able to get it first try. Let's go, dude. Rin walking away with the clear victor here in game number 2 of this best of 5 grand finals between the two runners. GG, Rin.
Yeah, that was, honestly, that was a really incredible last about 8 minutes of that run for Rin. I mean, there's almost no mistakes in there, and once Dedew had those 2 deaths, it was like Rin like locked in right there and just did not let go of the lead at all.
Yeah, I just want to point something out as well, Trojan, sorry, but like Dedew taking those massive deaths in Sorrow once again, but just in different positions, right? And they're still closing out a low 29. Like, that is just absolutely bonkers to me, and just shows the caliber of runner that Dedew is, right? So like Rin taking the win in this game number 2 with a 28-50 overall, but Dedew just, man, if he is able to just avoid taking a big mistake, he has the potential to be incredibly close to Rin's time, like even closer than this, like what is that, like half a minute time differential?
Yeah,
right. I just cannot express how incredible both of these runners are doing here today.
Yep, as we see, Dedew finish up right there with the 29-19, and Rin got a 28-50, so a difference of about 29 seconds. So, I mean, that was a really entertaining race, especially during the whole middle portion of that. It was really cool to see Dedew slowly clawing back 2 seconds here, 4 seconds there, over the course of about 4 or 5 minutes, and just make it within 5 seconds, and then eventually get the lead. I mean, that really master class from Dedew right there to claw back. And then again, like we mentioned, Rin masterclass at the end right there. And I agree. I think if Dedew somewhat cleans up those sorrow deaths, I would be really afraid if I was Rin right now.
Yeah, I mean, that is incredibly intimidating, right? Rin just had beautiful execution all the way from the start of the run towards that bash tree. But then after bash tree, nailing key dupe, nailing the mini boss, and then coming to swamp entry where he just had those troubles with lining up those double bashes, right? Those frame perfect tricks are difficult, irregardless of what input method you end up opting to utilize in order to hit those frame perfect tricks. And all for the sake of what, right? To just like save a couple of seconds on that swamp entry. So just very nominative of Rin to go for these incredibly difficult and incredibly fast-paced strats. But then like after that point, right, Dedew was just able to take 1, 2, 3 seconds back versus his opponent to be able to close that like 30-second timing differential. And then we saw Dedew take a lead within Sorrow, right? Reaching Sorrow when they're tied actually puts Dedew at an advantage, right? Because Crazy Juggle is a little bit slower for a route in Sorrow, but it's faster overall, just simply because Dedew has to grab an extra ability cell in order to make that Terror Break work in Sorrow. So very interesting to see the routing differences here for our opponents, and I am excited to see what they bring to the table in game number 3.
Yeah, likewise. Honestly, I think for the next match, I'm really going to be looking at that mid game where that was kind of the biggest kind of time difference, like swap without like a major death in a way, and want to see if Rin can find some of the way they locked in the last half right there and put that into like the Ginso tree swamp entry area and try and execute like they did in match 1. And again, I'm really excited for this third game. I feel like if Dedew just executes the way that I know that Dedew knows that they can do, this will be just as entertaining as the third race as it was the second one. And with that, we are going to go to another little intermission right here as we let the runners reset themselves, get some water, stand up, stretch, all that fun jazz. So we will see you on the other side of the break. Stay tuned, everyone. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills Tournament 2022. My name again is Trojan Dude 12, and we are going into Game 3 of this finals between Rin, who is the number 1 seed, and Dedew, who is the number 3 seed. And for this Game 3, I am having the pleasure of commentating with none other than Cleanfell. How are you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, pretty good. This has been a very fun series so far. Game 1 and 2 both being pretty close. Game 2 especially, that late game was crazy, other than when Dedew hit those sorrow spikes. Again, it's called sorrow for a reason. It's so sorrowful. But I'm very hyped. And yeah, so as you said, Rin has taken 2 games. So match point is now in play. If Rin takes another match at any point, the tournament will just be officially done there, and Rin will be the champion. But Dedew, as we were talking in the pregame, when facing elimination, Dedew just turns on a new mode and just goes insane and has some incredible times. As you saw in the the brace before this against Ronnie, Dedew is down 0-1, but then took game 2 and 3. So I mean, again, just kind of when you're on the line, just things can change. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, completely. And some people do actually work better under that type of pressure. And I know Dedew is probably feeling okay. I've had a lot of kinks in the first match, and honestly, outside of those 2 deaths coming out of Sorrow, really honestly played pretty well, and kind of try and ride that increasing momentum into this third game and try to eclipse Rin, who, like I said on the front side of the break, I'm really interested to see how the mid game kind of goes in this match, because that was where Dedew clawed back steadily a lot of that time and eventually took the lead for a decent chunk of Sorrow. So that's where I'm going to be looking at as we go into this third game. And again, just because Rin has a slightly better PB than Dedew, Dedew can definitely, as you can see, turn it on and can definitely give Rin a run for their money.
Yeah, you said it. Like, even then, with the PB, like we look at the kind of the qualifier times and just kind of the overall average that they've been putting on the bracket. It's actually a lot closer than you think. Like in all the bracket stages, Rin's average time is around a 29:18, whereas Dedew's average time in the brackets is around a 29:31. So it's like in the brackets, they've actually been putting up pretty much almost identical time. So it's just kind of, and when you face all and you're in the moment, who's going to kind of prevail out of those tricks and all these kind of really type optimizations that we've been putting on. And so I'm really excited, I think.
Yeah. And just to kind of add on to that, I mean, the cool thing about that, there's only a 13-second difference in average, yet they do completely different routes in the mid and late game, which, I mean, that just goes to show you that the top runners, if you're good enough, you can make anything that's comfortable for you work. And that's really neat to see. And what I kind of love about the parity in this finals matchup, and you get to see it on display. I mean, I think that was one of the coolest things, seeing like Dedew come out of the Sunstone area and kind of before they kind of cross paths, and see him take that like very visible lead after they had diverged for so long. So again, one of the areas that I'm going to be looking at, and can't wait to see how it unfolds in this one.
Yeah, and kind of another thing we can kind of talk about is we're going to get started here in just about a minute or so, getting warmed up. And kind of another thing we start to get as we get into later and later games, game 3, 4, 5, doing matches and resets and runs back to back to back, how that could kind of weigh on these runners' minds. I know a lot of, kind of the whole mentality is just, keep doing resets, stuff like that. But when you have to do a ton of no reset runs in a row, kind of how that could weigh in the runners' minds and the nerves, especially as you get into later on, and having to do so many of these tricks just again and again and again, like how that could affect both these runners here.
Yeah, I can't overstate enough like how important it was for Dedew in that first match to still go for everything, even though they had died a bunch, because that's how you get the muscle memory. Make sure it's still flowing in there, and you don't try to adjust your strats at all. And you saw it really show in that second match. And I think that actually may pay dividends. If Dedew ends up winning this one, that could pay dividends going through the rest of this matchup. And looks like we are about ready to get going right here as we move over to the runner's screen. And it looks like we are off as both of them do their wonderful prologue skip. And we go back into Sunken Glades.
That's right. So another fun early game to kind of get these runners into the right mindset here. I like to take, just a good like minute or so to take this moment to just kind of calm down any nerves that might be building up. All we're doing is just jumping and running to the left. Nothing gonna get in these runners' ways as we collect this first energy and we collect sign. And another kind of big thing I want to get ready to see for this particular race is just how Dedew might be, switching up or not switching up his play. Because again, he has not been watching anything. He's not been paying attention to anything, and just been doing these runs on his own mind, and has not really been focusing on this being kind of a finals at all. And just saying, oh, this is just 3 PB attempts and looking to get that low 28s that. So far, if he hits that goal and gets those low 28s, he could take a win, because Rin is the fastest time so far Rin's gotten is at 28:50 in game 2.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And again, it's one of those comfort things where, they decide whether they want to watch the stream or not. And, Rin can be, as you've seen in the first 2 matches, as Rin has a little bit of a problem getting up the wall right there. As you saw in the first 2 matches, Rin kind of strategically adjusted as needed. But again, at the same time, you have to respect Dedew's mentality as well. It's like, I just have to pretty much play against myself. Like, it doesn't really matter what my opponent does. I just need to play very solid and crisp, and just kind of play within myself and not worry about what they're doing. And there's definitely there's pros and cons to both, honestly, and that's another really cool parity thing to see in this finals matchup.
Yeah, so far, early game being a little mean. Rin not getting that mushroom jump, and Dedew having to troll health cell, so I had to take an extra damage, but both gets the 1 HP ghost door perfectly well done, and is going to get to the 4th health cell, as we've been seeing. Oh, another missed mushroom jump from Rin's side. Oh my goodness. But it's fine, as we're going to get that 4th health cell. And again, I really do like this. Both these runners are just very comfortable. Dedew especially, because he actually has the 4th HP routed into his PB, and is hoping to be kind of one of the first runners to get the Terror Break 4 HP 27 times. That'd be very exciting, as he's been pushing that lower and lower as we're getting into this kind of more XP management to set up for that time level up into wall jump.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like Dedew is doing pretty well on the XP right here. Likewise for Rin. So Rin's not going to have to adjust like they had to do in match number 2. And again, Dedew has gained a fairly sizable lead right here because of all those missed mushroom jumps at different points by Rin. And again, that's kind of the big thing about the early game. You don't have dash right now, so those little mistakes where you have to fall back down, they're amplified a lot more in this early game before you get to the dash tree.
Yeah, exactly. And early game especially, just like you don't think of it. It's just the splits are so slow, and the time of potential deaths here are just so much more catastrophe, since there's just no real way to speed it up. All we can do is just run and jump and move to the left and climb up some walls, as we're now getting both these time level ups from both runners. And so this is kind of the first match where both the XP managements are the same. Like for games 1 and 2, they both kind of had splits in how they were entering there, but it looked pretty similar on both sides this time around, and a nice damage boost there from Dedew's side to get through that bramble without taking an extra hit.
Yep, definitely. And, it's one of those things, actually, that Dedew goes a little more aggressive than Rin over the course of it. I mean, like, this is Rin who does, like, crazy juggle and some crazy, grenade jump movement and whatnot. And they decide, I'm not going to take that damage boost right there in the first 3-4 minutes of the game. So, it's kind of funny, the little dichotomy of, like, route choices and everything like that, and strategy choices. So, as we get to the well right here, as we're entering into Blackroot Burrows, and Dedew does their save anywhere successfully, And it looks like Rin is getting successfully in there as well. And we'll see if Blackroot Burrows and the cycles in here make a difference like they did in the last game a little bit. They were pretty close together in the first game. And the other thing to look out for is the cutscene stack, which we'll get at the end of Blackroot Burrows. Rin has hit it twice, and Dedew has not hit it either time.
Yeah, so that's definitely something to look out for. So, try to see if Dedew can break that cycle and kind of match Rin there. Blackroot Burrows, honestly, has just been that area where it's kind of come full circle now. We've seen so many optimizations, specifically in Blackroot Burrows for this tournament, kind of with pause floats and the way we manipulated these cycles here. But honestly, this has been kind of just a very nice, simple Blackroot. No crazy tricks coming out of either runner, just kind of looking to get through these lasers and manipulate a cycle. Very nice. Oh, yes. Okay, Dedew gets that cycle very nicely done. I think it's kind of the best he's gotten it. Oh, okay. A safety save from Rin's side after taking a laser death is not going to be too havoc, but Dedew will be catching up a little bit of time and taking this lead into Blackroot.
That's one of those things that noticed from Rin throughout these 3 matches is taking that safety save right there, identifying that that's possibly a way they either had struggled in warm-ups or practice, and just say, you know what, I have this extra energy, I'm just going to drop it here and not bother with kind of keeping it in my inventory, which, that's a really costly death if they don't put the safety save right there. On the order of probably close to 45 seconds to a minute. And then you only lose probably 10 seconds instead. That's a big choice right there by Rin.
Yeah, Rin has been having a great state of mind for safety saves in particular. Kind of having a little bit of nerves and misty of the last game, but saw he had that little bit of a lead and just said, just go take a second, take a save. It's not going to majorly hurt kind of the potential of a good time here. And now we're going to get a look at Dedew's actually going to opt. Okay, I like this. So Dedew did not get the cutscene stack by doing the backwards jump, but just did it the normal way, where you just kind of put the save right there and gets it very nicely done.
Yeah, that's a really good adjustment by Dedew. Just saying, you know what, it hasn't really been working for me. I haven't found the spot very well consistently in the first 2 games. Let's just take a little bit extra time, only loses a couple seconds, and do it the little bit slower and safer way. As they both do get that blind movement right there, and Dedew is going through the Frankie walk, and Rin is about to get Billy right now. And let's see how Dedew does with the magnetless Frankie walk this time around.
Honestly, I just kind of, until I'm at this section, I hold my breath. Oh my goodness, that was amazingly done. A backflip to go, all that jump. Has one more Frankie to dodge. All right. Even then, I still am like holding my breath until we get a save or something down, because sometimes this Crusher can just be mean, or these slimes. There's just so much just chaos. And on Rin's side as well, we have the Frankie, and he gets it as well. Nicely.
You know what? I actually think Dedew got the really low RNG energy drop on the Frankie kill. If I saw that, so that makes it like extremely safe. I think it's is that 10% at the time or something like that. It's very, very low amount.
Yeah, for sure. Dedew also getting the God Grotto cycle, has not missed it this series so far, and on Rin's side, we're gonna wait to see if he can match Dedew as well, and does it as well. So both matched there, both 3 for 3 on Grotto cycles this time around, and keeping up with each other as we're getting now to the double jumps tree and getting to this very technical, very slippery walls of the Enter Ginza.
Yeah, definitely. And again, another bit of blind movement right here. That's one of the cool parts of optimizing this early game. Oh, as Dedew does take a little bit of death, but the nice thing right there is it actually saves from the end of the animation of the tree and not the beginning of it when you actually enter. So that that's a nice thing about doing those save anywheres at the tree location. So in case you do die in a blind movement thing like that, you don't have to go back nearly as far, and you don't have to see the tree animation fully again. As we see Dedew go for a grotto skip right there, getting it first try this time, and does not unfortunately get the baguette jump.
But The front
There we go. Third
Nice
try. There
done.
we go. Third time's the charm.
Kind of a flip-flop from last time. Dedu is struggling with Grotto's skip on the kind of first games. Rin gets the first try, but got for his French baguette jump every time, but now is taking a little bit of struggle there. So a little bit of time there for Rin to catch up as we're both in this vertical rock falling section, except there's no rocks. We don't need rocks in here, as we're now just getting this water vein and watching these cutscenes all out of order because we're just not supposed to be here at all. But honestly, a very nice segment to do. Is actually ahead of his PB, 11 seconds ahead at the double jump, and is currently at about a 20-second lead over Rin right now.
Yeah, that's honestly, I mean, Dedu's kind of shown is very, very clean outside of that one missed baguette jump. I mean, that like really, really solid everything so far. And as Dedu is making their way up this vertical section right here, coming out of Grotto and going towards the Crow cutscene skip area. And one of the things that we need to see around here was some of the double jumping and like dash chaining that was a bit of a struggle for Rin as we got to the Ginso tree. As Dedu having their own little issues with some of the double jumps right there, getting up to this ability cell that they need. And so now we're kind of lined up again as we're getting towards the swamp teleporter right now. But yeah, that's something I'll have to see once we get inside of the Ginso tree and see if Rin kind of shakes that off from the last match and cleans it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of the big divergence of the time in the early game that we're going to see. Dedu's going to get that extra ability cell because of the Terror Break route, whereas Rin is just going to opt to skip it. And also didn't do the buy movement at Double Jump Tree, and Rin's going to do a bit of game storage here on the Enter Ginzo split to basically have this room pan up as you're basically climbing it. So really, really tight jumps there. There's a little bit of blind movement on his side as well, but very nicely done. It gets through that first room, no problems.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. Thankfully, that one, you get to see most of the room for the majority of it, so that is very nice. And yeah, Rin actually goes through that gamer room very cleanly this time around, gets the nice damage boost, and seems to be pretty locked in right now so far in this mid-game section, as Dedu is still keeping hot on the trails right there. And we're getting into the puzzle room. The one thing that they both barely missed this last time was the fast cycle in the mini boss. They both were, I believe, one shot off. Where I think they both missed on the second cycle, one hit. So let's see if either one of them can get that fast cycle and save a little bit of time off of each other.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit close as both are now entering, and you're going to take a hit on the spikes there, but that's fine. And nicely done on Rin's side, gets that HP. And let's take a look at Dedu's getting kind of the middle spawn. It's kind of the big RNG section. You have the 5 placements of this slime, and sometimes it can be very mean. But for Dedu's, very nicely done. Stays around the middle area, so nicely done from him.
Yep, definitely. And the one thing to be a little bit nervous about for Rin right there is that those XP orbs can shoot off after they're in it, but they were actually in probably the best spawn after taking damage right there, that top left one. They tend to float, as you saw also on Dedu's screen, so that was a bit of good fortune right there for Rin. Didn't have to do some weird adjustment, like, you know, weird double jumps to get that XP. As we see Rin get the bash tree and Dedu very shortly behind. And still though, I mean, even with the little bit of airs right there, I mean, Dedu is still within 10 seconds of his PB right now. So really doing a very nice job so far.
Yeah, this is definitely what Dedu has been hoping for so far as we're getting into the mid game. Now they have bash, kind of the big power skills and unique abilities of Ori as we're getting this key dupe set up on Rin's side, get the keystones in. Very nicely done. Ooh, Dedu actually doesn't get this double bash to kill this mortar worm, so he can save up here. Okay, gets it the second try, but a little bit of time lost there for his side as he's going to go for his own key dupe. Gets a damage boost so he can just do a one hit on these spikes and immediately go in, and very nicely done.
And on the other side, Rin did get the hyperspeed right there after a successful key dupe. And we'll see if Dedu is able to get the same hyperspeed as we go to the top right here. And this is, this is a very similar time difference wise to what we saw in match 2. And that swamp entry was kind of where Dedew got back really, really close. So we'll have to see if Rin can, execute that first try this time around. As we'll see if they decide to forego the blind movement again, and yes, they do. We're gonna see lots of lasers on Rin's side, and then head off to swamp entry.
Yeah, Rin actually having kind of a less success rate than Dedew for swamp entry, particularly in the last game. Had kind of missed a lot of double bashes here, so let's see how it goes for him this time around. And gets the ability cell, opts to get it right away on the ender, and the shot kind of half phased through, but it still broke the wall anyway. Very nicely done.
That
frog
was
shots,
spooky, man. Right there.
What even is a frog shot at this rate?
Yeah.
Dedew's side as well.
Yeah, those things can phase through more often than you would expect for some reason. Just like we just saw on Dedew's side right there. And another one. And another one. All right.
What even are frog shots?
I don't really know what to make of that one.
Nice. Okay. I think that was still first try, maybe? Yeah. We'll call it that. So now we're heading into the swamp tree. Now we've got our stomp ability, and we can leave, and now we're going to be doing a lot of left, because we're going to go all the way from swamp to the left side to get sea flame, but then head on over to valley. This is kind of the mid game where a lot of tight-knit movement is capable of these runners. We have a cutscene that we may or may not be seeing here with a bird. Let's see if we can get that. And both are going to use Ringo here to get an extra ability cell up here to get those ability cells.
Oh, interesting. One little minor thing. Rin, the first 2 matches kind of did an extra double bash to get a little bit more air under the frog, and then double jump kind of glide over. That time actually did what Dedew has done the first 2 times, kind of do an aggressive little angled shot and use a dash and double jump to get over there. So interesting little adjustment right there. Sometimes if you make those adjustments from what you normally do, that can be really bad, but Rin made it look really good. Oh, and we're going to try and get the massive cutscene skip right here using this shot. Oh, unfortunately, just a little bit off on the stomp right there, but that was very, very nice try from Rin right there.
Yeah, I love seeing Rin just trying it out, just pulling it out in this grand final scenario, because he is watching, so he knows kind of how close this is. So might be having to pull out a few very, very crazy tricks here to kind of keep pulling ahead. He has a lot of stuff under his tool belt, and so I'm really excited as we're now getting into this valley section, entering the Valley of the Wind. This is where, yeah, kind of similar to game 2. This is kind of the time differential we saw here, and we were able to see Dedew kind of start to catch a little bit of time on this particularly. So let's see how this will opt for them.
Oh, unfortunately, I don't think the Frankie came down with Dedew, so I think Dedew's going to have to use Charge Flame to get through the wall right there. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. So they have to be aware of that and adjust their energy accordingly, because that Charge Flame uses up half of an energy cell. So especially when you get to the Charge Dash sections right up here, you have to be a little more cognizant of that and pretty much throw 1 less Rocket Jump, 1 less Charge Dash in there than you would normally do.
Yeah, that's definitely... Ooh, a missed double bash on Rin's side. Okay, it's a little panicky, but again, because again we don't have that save place down that he has sometimes placed, and there it is, perfect, right on cue, right on schedule. And now we're heading into fast stomplets. Both runners here have done amazingly on fast stomplets attempts. Their percentages in the tournament are crazy, and even though their shots might just look wildly not right at all, but sometimes the game just knows more than we do. And there you go.
Yeah, very nice. That shot looked definitely very good, and Rin successfully gets it on first try. Dedew is going to be coming up to it very promptly.
Yeah, and gets this early charge dash as well. It's kind of another small deviation from Dedew's side. So very nicely done.
Yeah, I think it took a little extra time right there just to make sure the shot was completely lined up. And heading up there, and very, very nice from Dedew.
All right. Now we're heading into Sarbash. Late game tricks are getting harder and harder as we're into Sarbash. Rin with about like a 75-ish percentage here, and gets these double bashes. That's, oh man, that just looked textbook. And hoping to see the same thing on Dedew's side. Dedew actually hasn't missed Sarbash just at all. Has had a lot of speed. You know, Sara has not been the nicest, but I mean, the actual trick of Sarbash has been amazing. As now we're seeing, oh, gets the hit. Okay. Oh, Rin's going for the backup frog. Okay.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so Rin didn't cancel it. Basically, for the Sea Duggle, you have to cancel the charge dash so it doesn't deal a ton of damage. Oh, gets another charge dash uncanceled. That's okay, but since it's higher up, he can't afford that. Okay, nicely done.
Oh, I think one hit away on that one right there. I was really, man, I was really shocked they kind of went for that. That was really a little sketchy. And then look at that, Dedew. They're very, that gave a lot of time back for Dedew right there. And so if Dedew makes it through here, that's going to be a godsend for Dedew. And now I feel like we'll see them cross paths again, but this might end up being anybody's race at the end of Sorrow right here.
Yeah, Sorrow in particular has, again, as we said, just sorrowful. These four, we have the early HP, but this is the one area where it doesn't really, it doesn't really matter because they still do 4 damage. And now we're getting a small high 5, one entering Dorito Caverns, one leaving. And I think Rin will probably, I believe, just judging by this, White will still probably have a lead, but it, yeah, won't be as much as it was entering Sorrow for sure.
Yeah, definitely not. So once again, it's gonna probably come down to Misty, and I've seen a lot of races over the years, like of Misty being a huge game player, because thankfully they have 4 health, so that makes Misty a lot safer, and it'll be interesting to see if that 4 health saves them at all in a big way during this. As a nice meteor kick from Rin right there, and a nice stair cancel. That's beautiful movement right there, entering Misty. And as Dedew is now heading down through the laser section and exiting Star, let's see if Dedew gets out of here cleanly. They struggled within the first one, and very, very nice job. And another beautiful meteor kick.
So yeah, that is definitely Dedew's cleanest SAR of this series so far. So very nicely done, keeping up and capitalizing on Rin's slight mismanagement of the frog. But Rin's still ahead, about maybe 20 seconds. And as we said, this is game point, and there's not a ton of splits left for Dedew to catch up. So, and we have 4 HP as well. And we've seen Rin also been kind of safe in Misty every so often, putting a safety save, and is already at the climb sheet just about now.
Yeah, definitely. And again, this may or may not be related to seeing that they're still ahead of Dedew by a little bit right now. And I mean, this section though is just kind of zooming, so this part doesn't really matter. Kind of really cleanly has gone through that section 3 times in a row during the 3 races, so that's really cool to see. And yeah, still throwing down that safety save. Ooh, might have dropped an energy right there. Not entirely sure. Kind of went through a lot of those enemies there really quickly, but it looks like they still should be fine. They are gonna take the little energy cell just to be safe, and probably a good call.
Yeah, this is great for Rin's side. This is kind of the closest it's been in Misty so far of this series, but Rin is still opting to be a little safe, put down an extra safety save. Going to use the 1 energy here for the quick kill cycle. Oh my goodness, that's just so nice. It's textbook. It's amazingly done. And now we're heading on into here, placing these keystones and immediately leaving because we don't want to actually do all of the slow meandering. We just want to head on over to lower Blackroot and get the final skill we need before we're going to close this out.
Yep, very nice. And Dedew having to do the same thing, saving the energy cell for the mini boss, so couldn't do the quick rocket jump movement right there. And yeah, we were 23 seconds apart, and then we're 23 seconds apart at climb. I feel like both of these runners have been going very, very well.
Yeah, the consistency has been incredibly well done for this race in particular, and it is all coming down to just kind of who has the better execution to bring it out. And Rin is getting to his last skill here, grenade in the lower black root, setting up for these quick cycles here. They can just immediately charge them through. Nicely done. All right, 2 splits remain because Rin is on match point here from taking it all, but Dedew is not far behind in any stretch of the matter, so this could be very, very close.
No, definitely not. Yeah, definitely. They're not far apart at all. This is still in the realm of a bad death entering Horu in the escape type of territory right now, so we need to keep an eye out for that as they are... Dedew is heading 5 each other as they're going through Brackley Burrows, or Lost Grove, excuse me. So we'll have to see how what strats they decide to do going into Horror Fields.
Yeah, we've seen kind of some differences on both of these games. Kind of when Rin was far ahead in game 1, didn't opt to do any of the crazy stuff, but did opt to do some stuff like warp skip and these grenade jumps in Horror Fields. Is kind of just at the discretion of Rin because he can see the restream. While as Redew's just going to do what he thinks is the best and most fast, quickest way to do it every single time. That really long grenade jump. Rin is actually going to get 6 HP. Being this close of the series, that is a very interesting decision from Rin's side. Going to take that just few second time sink to get there, and isn't opting for a grenade jump in this Horror Field room. Just a ton of stair cancels. Oh, he's going to get one right here. Doesn't get the angle first, the setup first, or the timing second or third try. Okay, gets a third try. But, oh my gosh, he bonks on the rock!
Uh-oh, this is interesting. If Dedew can nail this grenade jump right here, it's going to be a really close race and a nice setup. Oh my goodness. We are coming down to Dorp in the final escape right here. That might have given Dedew a pathway back into this if Rin does not get door warp.
Yeah, but we've seen Rin has a very high door percentage as well and gets it well, whereas Dedew's been a little bit of struggling on this series so far with door, hasn't gotten it immediately on first try and doesn't get it here. So is going to have to do a little bit more of a time sink here as Rin's going for the warp skip to skip half of this cutscene of the final escape. So Dedew gets door now, but this is Rin's race to lose, and right now with the 2-0 win, if Rin is able to close this out, will finish it and has the 6. Actually, no, he only has 5 HP because he took a slight damage on the Enter Horu, but gets out of the water. Very nicely done. Skips the Kuro cutscene, trigger in this final room, bashes to the left and sets us on this wall. The grenade jump timing is what's going to come down to. He gets it second try, and he is walking. He is through. Congratulations, Rin. You have successfully closed out the tournament in a 3-0 and has won the 2022 All Skills Tournament.
Wow, and Dedew absolutely blazed through that. Wow, that was an incredible escape from Dedew as well. I mean, really putting the pressure on Rin there at the end. This is going to be even closer than the last race, and man, GG to Rin, and shouts to Dedew for really performing that last race and keeping it close like a lot of the way. That was really impressive from both runners right there.
Yeah, definitely the closest so far in this whole thing. I mean, look at that. What is this going to be around? You got 8, potentially, 15 seconds, pretty much. That is insanely well done. Both getting the 28 here, and when it counted, Rin was able to just slightly close and edge out each performance. Even with Dedew's here, this was Dedew's best performance of the series so far, with the low 28. But, man, it was just when it mattered, Rin was able to kind of focus up. These big tricks kind of mattered when they did, and was able to take it, and is now been crowned the tournament champion. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, no, like gotta give props to Rin. That consistency was really, really well done over, all three, especially in the first game, kind of knowing they had a little bit of room, but really in games 2 and 3, locking in and really making it matter right there. And really tons of congrats to Rin. Has worked hard getting through this tournament and gets the 3-0 in this finals. So wow, that was a really, the last 2 races were really entertaining, and that was fantastic to see.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely let both of these runners just chill out a bit, relax, as we're gonna hopefully get an interview on both of them. Definitely want to hear what they have to say as we're going to. I mean, again, just both these runners have been putting on a clinic in these bracket stages. Rin hasn't actually dropped a game in this bracket and won't. Just major props to both of them on doing such amazing stuff throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of just general takeaways from this. I think the really neat thing, especially in matches 2 and 3, was again seeing how those differences in routing still made close races, and I think that was, in my opinion, the coolest thing about this whole finals. And just seeing how you can still execute very cleanly in a lot of spots and still put on a very competitive series. And that's one of the biggest takeaways for me from the series as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're going to do R here. I think we'll definitely start to bring them in now. All right. We're now joined by both Rin and Dedew. I want to give a big just GG's and congrats to both of you. A great series and some really, really close matches. And kind of, I guess we got to pass it over to Rin first. You took the 3-0, and how do you feel overall about how you performed here today?
Wow, I just want to say that was the most misleading 3-0 in existence. That was not a sweep at all. I was pretty stressed, especially during game 3, because I knew Dudu was right on my tail. I'm happy I made the right calls, playing safer, much safer when I was way ahead, like in game 1, just not doing the grenade jump, just not worth it. Like, all in all, I think I played really good for races. And I got lucky as well with my keyboard not having as much issues as I expected.
Yeah, we didn't really see the spacebar come into effect. And yeah, we definitely want to kind of dive into a little bit more of that mindset. Even in game 3, that was as close as it was, you continued to place down safety saves. You went for the 6 HP again, even though you had to do the 5 HP swim because you took a damage in Horror Fields. Kind of, was that every single time? Is that just your mindset? You said, okay, I can see, even with the slight lead, I feel like just doing the safety is kind of the best play here.
I feel like I had to still get the safe 6 HP, because I was still a bit ahead exiting BRB. So I was like, how do I do this? It's like, I knew I could still close this off even if I took the 6th HP, and it ended up paying off because I was able to do warm skip thanks to that. So I'm really glad I did, because I mean, I would have been able to do warm skip, but it would have been much riskier. So like, even with just a slight lead, even if it's not much, just playing safe generally is how I go about things.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, yeah, that's fantastic. Really kudos to both of you on the performance in this series. It was very entertaining races overall. Going over to you, Dedew, really quickly. After that first race, how did you kind of reset your mind and go into matches 2 and 3? After you had made some big mistakes, but we could tell that you were still going for all of the big tricks and everything like that to keep to keep yourself in shape. But like, how did you transition that over into games 1 and 2, or sorry, 2 and 3?
Yeah. First of all, GG Rin. Nice races. So yeah, after the first race, I guess I was kind of expecting to like make some big mistakes. So I guess I didn't really care. I guess because I hadn't played the game for like 1.5 weeks. So it was like a good warm up for me. And then I was like, yeah, okay, now I'm warmed up after the first race, and now we can just race and get 28s. And yeah, I guess I didn't change my strats at all, because I usually when I try
Sounds
to like
good.
play safer or like try different strats, I just mess them up. I just like do the same runs I do all the time. Like I'm pretty much all the tricks I also do in PB attempts.
Sounds great. And Rin, going back to you, one of the things that we noticed a lot was your kind of general placement for safety saves, and no bigger kind of safety save in that third match than the one right before the lasers in BRB. Can you go a little bit into some of your safety save? That honestly was.
Oh,
Jordan might be cutting out slightly, but I think you can kind of get the question, Rin.
yeah. The way I think of safety saves is if I'm gonna do safety saves, I might as well just do some that lose close to or no time at all. Like the BRB one actually does lose some time because you can't do the really long save anywhere later on, but I felt like it wasn't worth it risking a death and going back all the way back to BRB, like to before the orb. And for the other saves, it's like I usually place more saves than what I do here when I'm running 3 HP in races, but that rarely happens because it's only when I take damage, right? Because if I have 4 HP, I don't need to place as much safety saves. I only need to play safer if I get hit by spikes. So that's kind of the way I think of things is some safety saves here and there, just adding an extra stair cancel or something, because that doesn't cost too much. And if I really have to play safe, like I'm 1 hit away from dying, that's when I start just busting out all the safety saves.
For sure. Yeah, that makes tons of sense. We've definitely picked your brains a lot, and having to do 3 no resets runs definitely does a lot, so won't harp on it too much longer. I'll pass it over to Do for kind of the final question. It's kind of an overall look back at everything. It's kind of how you were able to defeat Ronnie, get here in the grand final matchup, and put on a great show, having 3 really pretty close matches against Rin here, our number 1 seeds. Kind of what you're looking forward to, what you're going to be expecting to do now that the tournament's over. Maybe push to get that 27. I know you're so close to it. Anything else in the future for you?
Yeah, the nice thing this year at this tournament is that I didn't have any time to play Ori, so I'm not burnt out, so I can keep grinding after the tournament. So that's really nice.
Perfect.
I don't
That's
know
great.
if I'm gonna keep trying all skills right now. I don't know. I feel like trying another category. Maybe like revisiting some of the categories I played like 2 years ago or 4 years ago. I don't even remember. Yeah, there's some PBs or some old PBs I wanna improve.
Yeah, that makes sense, and we appreciate you running in all these tournaments. Way back, even in like the early like 2018 days. So appreciate you being here, and it was awesome to watch you run. And now we'll pass it over to Rin, who took the series here and has took the whole tournament. I know you've been doing a ton of extensive practice, and you're only 5 seconds away now from a 26. And I just gotta let it's kind of how you're feeling just over about everything, putting all the work in for this tournament and for this community here. I know you've been doing a lot, so it's definitely what your thoughts are right now.
Well, there's 2 things here. First, there's me as a player, how I feel about the whole thing. I've been grinding all skills for a really long time. When I came back to it, I wanted to just get to 27, and then that's how it is. You just kind of play for races, and then you're like, oh, maybe mid 27 doesn't sound that bad, and then you get the mid 27, and it's like, oh, I still have a bit of time saved here and there, and it just ends up being right here going for the 26. If I didn't have hardware issues and other stuff that I needed to attend to, I would probably be going for a world record after the tournament, because I was extremely motivated and at the top of my game recently. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame that I can't keep playing, but I got to move on as well. Which brings me to how I feel about this tournament as a planner. It's like we ended up doing things a bit, but at the end of the day, like, that's not a big deal. Like, everything worked out like the way all the matches went super smoothly. I am actually pretty impressed, because a lot of the planner team was still completely new to all the planning stuff. Thankfully, we had some veterans out here helping us out. But yeah, like, people played and improved, and that's what I'm mostly happy about, is that people could enjoy the Ori hype for a few months.
Big Ori hug, basically, right? Just to everyone.
Yes, one big Ori hug.
Absolutely. I think Jill right here actually has some stats for how much people actually played and improved their times. Jill, if you want to hop in.
Hello. Yeah, I've been looking around tracking this last match, and talking about tracking, we also have stats about volunteers, but well, first on some runner stats, we have had a lot of runners. We've had 32 runners in the tournament, which worked out perfectly. We've also had some more runners actually submitting runs during the time and improving their PBs, namely 5, or rather 6 people, one of which actually got 2 new world records, as you may have noticed during the tournament, improving the world record to now 26:54. So congrats, Lucy. That was amazing to watch, and overall, just everyone improved so much. We had 21 runners of the tournament improve their time during the tournament. Like, just amazing. And I'm just going off SRC stats. I know that some people have improved their times and weren't able to submit due to various reasons, but 21 players improved their time by 56 minutes and 58 seconds.
Holy crap.
So on average, each runner almost improved their time by 2 minutes. That is insane.
That's pretty incredible, honestly.
Yeah, and on that note, we've had 15 PBs by Dr. House since the weekly started, 7 by White Paws, 7 by Squid Guardian, 6 by Bobies, and 5 each from Rin and Dedew. So even our finalists have put in a lot of work, and you could definitely see just from the races that happened right now that improvement and that dedication over the last few months. Because actually the tournament has been going on for... Wait, where's that number? I have it written down somewhere. 55 days in total. We started with the first prelim on the 25th of March and concluded today on the 18th of May. So 55 days in total that our runners have run, and a total of 65 races, 41 of which in the bracket. And talking about the bracket, I have to sneak that in. We had some predictions going on. And, well, I feel kind of bad saying this, but...
of course.
Yeah. My prediction was the one that predicted the most stuff correctly. I would have to look at the updated page to see who else got a lot of points. But yeah, there were a lot of predictions as well. I think most of which predicted Ren to win, so... no, this is not rigged.
Didn't you only get one match wrong in the predictions? That's pretty insane, to be honest.
Yes, I only
Good
get
job.
one match in the round of 32 wrong, I believe. So, yeah, and we had some big improvements of times. The biggest one that also heavily influenced the rate was Dr. House with an improvement of 22 minutes and 2 seconds over the course of the tournament. We had Daruka with an improvement of 5 minutes and 41 seconds. Noxy2 with an improvement of 3 minutes 37 seconds. Bobies with an improvement of 3 minutes 5 seconds. And Person with an improvement of 2 minutes and 53 seconds. So some runners really, really pushed their game during the tournament and have been putting on a great show. And yeah, everyone, thanks for participating. And also thanks for helping out, if I may ramble on about some stats.
Yeah, absolutely. You want me to carry on from here, or?
Well, yeah, I still have stats about comms, so
Okay,
that's why
sure.
I'm asking.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
More stats.
I know you're all waiting for the exciting stuff happening. We will get to that very soon. We've had a total of 28 volunteers bringing this entire tournament to life, which is just amazing. Just the whole community coming together. Most of these volunteers didn't necessarily participate, or unfortunately didn't make it that far into the tournament, but every single one helped a lot. We've had 18 commentators, 12 different trackers, and 8 different restreamers. And the people putting in the most work were mostly Lion Almanar, who helped out in a total of 18 matches, followed by Fupio, helping out in 17 matches, which were 2 of this final. And then we had Rin himself helping out in 14 matches, as well as Apple Tree with 14. So yeah, a lot of people helping out quite a lot, and really big thank you from me and from all the organizers for helping this come to life, especially this final. We've had a huge crew for this final. I am sorry if I'm forgetting anyone, but we had Muffin and Xam on commentary in the first game. We've had Muffin and Trojan on the second game, and Trojan and Clean on this third game. We've had Fopio track the first 2 games, me myself track the third, and we had Richard restream all of this and also restreaming the upcoming Little Secret. So thank you all, and GG again to Rin for winning this tournament. And you may take it from now. I'm done rambling.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to say some more Ori hugs. Thanks to, of course, all the volunteers that Jill spoke about. Everyone, especially those just came in after all the pangs, being like, "Oh hey, help! We need comms, we need restreamers." So that was really, really helpful. Like everything went as smoothly as it did, thanks to y'all. Thanks to fellow planners who also helped out from for a plethora of things, like just uploading VODs, acting as a referee for matches, or building the entire volunteering infrastructure from scratch, or also helping with some of the decisions that we had to make this journey. And that was a lot of fun organizing this alongside y'all. Also, thanks to Moon Studios for making this incredible game, of course, and thanks to all the runners who made this as cool as an experience as it was. It was really, really fun. Yeah, I hope I'm not forgetting anything here. If anyone has been forgotten, then I'm sorry, but thank you. And we do happen to have some more projects in the works. We can't say much about them for now, but stay tuned, because we plan to make more Ori action happen for y'all. And with that, I think we can move on to the big surprise.
Yeah, as Rin mentioned, there's been a lot in the work, not only considering that, but Hitachi has been working on a new task for all skills. So, hi Tachi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Hey, okay. So you have prepared specifically in STAS, super acronym by the way, stands for all skills TAS, because we're getting all the skills in the beginning, ain't that right?
Yeah, you're gonna start with all the abilities and all the skills. It's why it's dubbed the ASTAS or the Ass Noob TA, because you start with all the skills.
Yeah, and we have it on screen right now. So, what kind of made you decide to do that? I've also never seen it, so this will be a surprise. I see 3 HP and all the energy in the world. Okay, charge dash is a thing.
Well, what made me decide to do it because I just wanted to do it for entertainment and to see how fast I could push the technical aspect of the game. Like with everything that Ori has, I wanted to see how far I could push it and also kind of make it at least interesting. You know, you get the trees, you don't just oob and go to the end of the game, right?
Yeah. So we're getting to all the trees, and will we also see grenade jumps since we see all the charge dashes right now, or?
Oh, we will indeed see. We'll see some very fancy grenade jumps, actually. Some that most probably haven't seen.
I see them already. Oh my god, this looks like a lot of fun. Also, menuing, of course, always a great thing. So I think I saw you working on it for a bit. Also, charge dashing behind an SA. We all love to hear it. You kind of worked on it in sections, right? How long did it take you?
For this particular Taz, I've been working on it for close to a year. I mean, not the whole year, like every day, right? But it's been in the works for about a year. And depending on how I felt for the day, like it's like 3 or 4 hours here or there. I'd say more than 200 hours went into this.
Ooh, okay, yeah. But it looks fabulous so far. Also, like the divergence and route, just taking charge flame immediately and then going towards left side. Very interesting. I suppose you will do black root in one go later, and not do that. Also, looking at the skill menu or ability menu, did you just start with everything skilled as well?
Yeah, I actually had to modify the game to allow me to save when I had all the skills in the skill tree. The reason I started with all the skills in the skill tree is because, that's how you get C-Dash for one, and I wanted to be mainly for entertainment, so I needed C-Dash, and I was like, well, we're just going to start with literally everything. And I did have to modify a little bit, obviously, to start with everything, and to allow you to save while you already have the abilities.
Yeah, that seems fair to do some save anywheres with all everything skills is also not that possible. But with that, okay, we're
going to Misty.
Oh wow,
We're going to
that
Misty
is
in
a
an interesting way.
That is a hyperspeed.
It is
Okay.
a particular hyperspeed.
I'm sure Muffin is currently counting all the grenade jumps in Misty.
He'll have to be counting for a while.
Yeah, that seems fair. Oh my god, this is insane to watch. Wow, that I did not know there were save spikes. Today I learned.
I learned that when I was making this. I didn't know they were there either.
Very interesting. Okay, climb as well. Will this even be a 10-minute test? Don't spoiler it. Don't spoil it.
I'm not gonna spoil it. No spoilers. It's quick.
But
No spoilers.
yeah, it definitely is quick.
This is probably Muffin. This is probably gonna be Muffin's favorite part.
Yeah. Wow. Those
There are
are
quite
some
a
wild
few.
angles. I mean, pre-charged grenade jumps are definitely a thing.
They're very fast. So I had to burn all my energy there because I had nothing to do with it. So I just used about 15 charge dashes.
Yeah.
For no reason.
within zero time, basically.
Here's one of my favorites. Leaving Misty.
Okay. Oh,
That's
and
actually-
the zombie up there.
Yeah, I mean, why not? There's really only one quick way to get into Sorrow, and it's with grenade jumps, not with birds.
Oh, and the key dupe here because we don't have enough keystones.
Well, we're gonna be doing a little key duping, yes. Ori has a need for keys that only Sorrow Pass can satiate.
Okay. Are all of these actually mandatory, or were they just added for fun?
One of them was added for fun. The rest
Okay.
The rest are mandatory.
That makes sense. We have some keystones after all, and getting any of the keys is probably slower.
Yeah, collecting any except the one on the way to Sorrow was slower than just duping them all here. Yeah.
Wait, you're taking the upper route?
I am indeed, because we require Sunstone
Oh.
to. This is what I was talking about. Where there's going to be some interesting grenade jumps. I don't know if you noticed, but Ori went up, directly up. There's a way to do a grenade jump if you do it frame perfect, double frame perfect, where it will use your last charge jump's angle to. The charge jump will use your last wall charge jump's angle. So if you're on an opposite wall and you wall charge jump, then if you go on another opposite side of the wall, you can basically go directly up or down. Basically a rocket grenade jump.
That is interesting. So, since the grenade jumps aren't really mandatory in the sense of energy, they're just faster after all, right? So
yeah,
because
all the
you
grenade
don't have to
jumps.
cancel them.
Yeah, all the grenade jumps done here were faster. Maybe a few were for fun, but most of them were faster. Yes.
That seems fair. Another question, do you actually use all skills in this test? Like, do you use wall jump?
Yes. Everything... Charge Flame was not used. You know what? Charge Flame was not used.
Fair enough, fair enough.
It would have had a use if things didn't just disappear while you were off screen.
That seems fair enough as well. Do you think there's any strategies in this test that would get transferred to an actual run? Or is this too advanced because the routing is just too different?
You know, there is one particular strategy that may have use in other categories, even possibly as noob, where you can do, you know how you can do stomp cancels, right? I'm sure anyone familiar with the speedrun may know what a stomp cancel is. Well, in this task, I learned there's a way to stomp cancel on the ground, which from the use of grenade and stomp and bash, you can basically do stomp cancels on the ground. You never really have an energy concern if you want to keep your energy, and it's technically RTA viable to do these. Just there's no real category where you need to.
Yeah, that seems fair, but oh wow.
That was the only way to die right there, fast, by the way. It's
Interesting, because you were charge dashing to the spider, right? So
what an
you
Ori
can-
has to do to die.
But with that, I don't even know which skills we're missing. I think we're missing like Stomp and Bash, and yeah, I think that might be it.
Right now, we are missing Stomp and Bash, yes.
So wow, 8 out of 10 already done. That is the sad part about tasks where you just don't see Ori because, well, it's off screen.
Yeah, I wanted to make this as fast as possible, which is why there's a lot of blind movement. I did save one tree that does not do blind movement, and it's this upcoming tree here, because I was starting to get a little sad not being able to see Ori.
Fair enough. I think all of us will appreciate you sacrificing speed for viewability. Oh my god, that's Spike. I did not know you could wrap around those spikes like that.
Here's a grenade cutscene skip.
Interesting.
Cruel cutscene skip with grenades, basically. You can do that.
Yeah. I think I saw you discussing that on the current route discussion from Grotto TP.
Yeah.
So how many rooms will we have already done?
How many
okay.
rooms? Oh,
Rooms
during...
in
Yeah,
Ginso.
sorry. Ginso.
Half the tree already done. I can't believe this is still the fastest.
I had a little fun right here when I learned that you can make some loud noises.
Yeah, and here are the keystones that we've acquired before. And we have 3 over, so yeah.
Yes.
3 too much. 1 key dupe too many. Yes, the zero cycle. Yes, Rin. Exactly.
I wanted to do this tree not blind as well, but Genso is very notorious in the TAS for not behaving. I kind of dubbed it my free Genso trial, where if you leave the game open long enough or you do too many replays, Genso will the portals will take longer to enter and exit.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I find it interesting that Ginso gets exited on the bottom, but it makes sense because we don't need the keystones, right?
Yes,
we just want to exit.
We do not need the keystones. I had planned to go to the teleporter, but see, this is what I was talking about. Where there's one that was left in for fun. It was possible for me to remove the final key dupe that duped the 3 keys in Zoro, but I left it in. Like I could have removed it without any issues, but I left it in for.
Yeah, fair enough.
making it a little longer.
Oh well.
That one was faster. No, that one was faster.
Interesting. Oh, and because of ultra defense, we don't even need to do shenanigans. I see. And GG. Okay, I didn't see the time. What is the time of this thing once we cross the finish line?
I did not get a timing myself, but it is sub 12 minutes.
Wow. So you heard it here first. Old skills can go down to sub 12.
It can be sub 12.
Yeah. I would not recommend trying any of these, but it was fun to watch. Wow. Thanks for making this. This is amazing.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. So thanks also for allowing us to showcase it here and for talking with us or with me about it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Dang. That was great to watch. So yeah. Any last words you have about the TAS or about making the TAS?
I do have some last words. There's a particular tech that's also showcased in this TAS that may have not been noticed. Maybe for Muffin, he might be interested in this. There's a way to make it so your G jumps do not slow down. There's a tech that if you can do a turnaround jump, basically where you you know how dash glides work, where you dash and you're holding a direction, you jump and you glide with the final dash speed. Well, there's a way to do that with G jumps with a turnaround jump, where you do a turnaround animation, and when you hit the ground after you do a G jump, if you do a jump within 7 frames of touching the ground, you do a turnaround jump on the ground, and your G jump will never slow down. This was featured a few times in the TAS.
That sounds cool, and it seems like Muffin has heard about it, but wow, I'm pretty sure that some people have not heard about it before. I can say I haven't, so very interesting knowledge, and I'm pretty sure you could talk for much longer about the cool tech used in this TAS, especially if it took you 200 hours to make it. So, yeah, big thanks to putting in that work, and not only on that TAS, but also on like the original as TAS, or old skills TAS rather, and everything.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun with both of them, particularly this one. But regardless, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and one last question: Is there anything else in the works, or do you have plans for anything, or is that enough TASing for now?
I think that's probably enough for now. Maybe one day I'll try a different category, but
fair enough. Yeah, thanks again, and I think that is everything we had for today. So thanks everyone for tuning in for the finals. Thanks everyone who took part as a volunteer behind the stage. I've mentioned all of you, but feel hugged again. You were absolutely amazing. That was absolutely great. Thanks to Dedew and Rin for putting on that great of a show. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon with some more Ori action. Stay tuned on the Discord and have a wonderful rest of your day.